professional. Yo, goddamn it. You're muted, what? Endearing, it's iconic. Cheese breaks, fade breaks, staying hydrated. It's shorty time. She's a fucking delight. Trial watching, trials and tribulations. It's Camp Shorty calling all nations. What are you drinking? Shall we skip this part? Left or right-handed? Shit, she slid it to the start. She's a fucking professional. Yo, goddamn it. You're muted, what? Endearing, it's iconic. Cheese breaks, fade breaks, staying hydrated. It's shorty time. She's a fucking delight. Psychology corner. Let's learn about stuff. New Miss Shorty music. Calling their bluff. Best chat, best community. We've got the best mods. A safe, supportive sanctuary full of fun and love. Rock out with your cats out. Curse all you want. And here at Camp Shorty, we even say cut. She's a fucking professional. Yo, goddamn it. You're muted, what? Endearing, it's iconic. Cheese breaks, fade breaks, staying hydrated. It's shorty time. She's a fucking delight. Hey, shorties, what's doing, y'all? Get in here, shorties. Let's fucking go. Camp Shorty. Camp Shorty. Camp Shorty. Camp Shorty. Camp Shorty.
Hi, shorties. Look, I've got a fringe. I've got bangs. Hi. Oh my God, it looks weird with glasses. Yikes, we're in trouble. Hi. Oh, Buster's here. Hi. Hi. Oh my God, I feel weird. Yikes. I turned up my brightness on my screen. Hi, guys. And it looks very bright. I might change that. That's too confronting. God damn it. I look like I can see myself and shit. Hi, Poppy. Oh my God. Now I don't like them. Fuck. That's fucked. Hi, Steph. Good to see you. I won't focus on myself. I'll look at you guys. Y'all, shorties. Hi, Princey. Good to see you. Who's this? Macrame Chameleon? Wow. What the fuck? Look at those bangs. Love the fringe. I don't love it now that we're live. That's okay. We can work with it. Fuck. It's too late now, isn't it? Do you want to hear the story? Poppy, I can't. Oh, hey, let me just have a drink. Shorty tumbler. Ow, Poppy. I'm not doing it. Sorry, chat. Treat for the dogs. God damn, my screen is so bright. It's very confronting. Maybe I'll be able to see chat better, but I can also see myself better, and that's terrifying. Let me just go to settings and turn the brightness down a little bit. Otherwise, I'll be obsessed with it. So the other night, on Sunday night, I maybe had a little bit of wine. You know me. I don't mind wine. And that's better. And I was like, oh, they should cut a fringe. I don't like how my hair looks on live streams. So I was like, but you won't do it. So Tumblr is awesome. Poppy, I'm not interested. I love you very much. I'm telling a story. And so I was there. I'm like, no, but you won't do it. You won't cut a fringe. You'll just go another week of live streaming and then be like, ugh, don't like my fringe or my hair. And I thought, you know what? Fuck it. And I powered into the bathroom and grabbed the section. It's quite a big section, as you can see. Again, maybe I had some wine. Grabbed it, twisted it, Brad Mondo style, Poppy, Brad Mondo style. went, got my haircut, got proper hair cutting scissors and just went, done. No turning back now. Thanks, Colours. Good to see you. Thank you all for being here. What the fuck? I presume you're saying hello to Macrame Chameleon. God, this is a nightmare. Wait. Am I going to be obsessed with it the whole time? Probably. Is that going to be annoying for everybody? Me especially? Yes. Macrame Chameleon. Hey, Joey, good to see you. Yes. What are we doing today? I don't know. We've got a raffle to draw from last weekend's Super Chat, Super Stickers, Buy Me Coffees, memberships, gifted memberships, PayPal. We've got PayPal now. So /Camp Shorty if you're interested. I'm very distracted by this hair. This was a bad idea that I should have thought about more than just 14 seconds and then snipped. You'll see me with clips. Poppy, I don't love it. I love you. I don't love your behavior. Can we? She says, but this is my jam. It is your jam. Okay, Poppy. Bye. There you go. Good girl. Good girl. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It looks so good. Thanks. I'm not sure, but it's too late now. So we're going to have to roll with it, aren't we, Bussy? It looks cute after I've put my hard hat on all day. Probably needs a bit shorter. No, you know, my mum always used to say, thanks, Matilda. My mum always used to say I had a very small forehead because my mother is a lovely lady. And now that I've cut a fringe, I think she's probably right. So any money coming into the channel over this weekend, we have 5 live streams scheduled, goes into the draw for next weekend. And I'm not going to write it in my notebook anymore. I've got little post-it notes, which I was just doing anyway. So why don't I just cut out the middleman of my notebook and write them straight on the post-it notes? Yes, we're going to do that. So shall we do a little bit of trial prep? I don't know. It's more, we might watch a bit of Charlie Adelson as well. We can watch Dan Rashbaum. He was the defense attorney for Charlie and was supposed to be the defense attorney for Donna Adelson. However, conflict of interest. So I'm not sure if it's relevant to watch his opening statements, but then also lol. Yes, we have merch. We'll go into merch a bit later, right? Charlie, Donna, thank you, Steph. New emotes in the chat for this stuff. So Donna's trial is scheduled to go ahead on the 9th of June. That'll be voir dire. So I'm not sure when it will actually be going to trial, but a few days after that, perhaps a week at most. A week at most. I think voir dire for Charlie's trial took 2 days, so probably won't be much longer. Now, who's curious? I don't see anything curious. Oh, there's Curious. Hi, good to see you, Curious Lord Tuber. What a mystery. Who could that be? So, following this live stream, we have Chris Duet, who is a friend of the channel. Poppy, I really can't. Please, can you go and sit down, please? I love you, but it's too much. Okay? It's too much for me. I'm already really a bit overwhelmed by my hair that I look weird in the mirror, that. So let me just finish off with Poppy here. Come on, Poppy. Now, can you go and sit down for me, please? I love you very much, but I need you to go and sit down. Okay? Down you go. Poppy, please. Yikes, now I look like fucking Sum 42 or something. Jesus Christ. I probably need to cut them a bit shorter. We'll see. Yikes, next time you'll see me like this. I like them swept across a bit better. Okay. Pokemon, hi, Shelley, good to see you. Yes. So I've said hello to everyone. Hi. First things first, we don't have a Sarah Dugan emote. She's Georgia Kappelman, state prosecutor, Georgia Kappelman, her second chair. But she doesn't do that much, or she didn't in Charlie's trial. She doesn't stand Sarah Dugan, but stand Georgia Moore. And I only have a limited number of of emotes available. So I had to swap out a few. Now, what the fuck? Sorry, Macrame Chameleon says, I'm excited for this stream. I'm in on this all the way. I watched your whole playlist and have been watching the first Sigfredo and Katherine Magbanua trial. And I'm like halfway through New Hyperfocus. I love that. It's wild, huh? You're going to be an aficionado, which is very helpful because not so many folks are. Poppy isn't. She certainly isn't an aficionado on anything other than panting. So Sarah Dugan did the opening statements in Charlie Adelson's trial. She's lovely, very Florida, blonde, gorgeous, smart. Matilda says, I don't know too much about this trial. So how about we start with, I'm rolling my eyes at the dogs, not at you all. Okay, so use your common sense, y'all. It's so Florida. It's great. Love, love. Tallahassee. It's in Tallahassee. We'll start with the opening statements. And Matilda, pretending, well, you could be a 13th juror because here we will have what the jurors who know nothing about it, theoretically, what they come into first day of trial after, I guess, a little bit of preliminary information. Poppy, please don't. Poppy, I love you, but please, please. Sorry. Yikes. Okay, so we can be 13th juror, right? I know a lot about this. So I'm not a 13th juror. Call me biased. Spoiler alert, 100% all guilty, allegedly. So we've got this. So this is they were given an hour each, defense and the state, the prosecution team. So this is Sarah Dugan. This was November, late October 2023.
The reason that we're here today is because the defendant in this case, Charlie Adelson, hired a hitman to.
So that was her opener, right? It's a clipped clip, but we didn't miss anything.
Kill his former brother-in-law, Dan Markel. This murder was set into motion because back in 2014, the defendant's family, the Adelson family, had a big problem. And that big problem was Dan Markel. And the solution to that problem was this defendant. This defendant was the solution to that problem because he had a girlfriend with connections
to put moisturizer
to the
on my
type
arms.
of people who were willing and capable of pointing a gun at a complete stranger and pulling the trigger. The victim in this case was known as Danny to his friends and family. He was a loving father to two little boys. He was a highly respected professor at Florida State College of Law. And tragically, on July 18th of 2014, Dan Markel was shot twice in the head in broad daylight in the driveway of his home in the Benton Hills neighborhood here in Tallahassee. The last day of Dan Markel's life that day began like any other of his mornings that summer. He woke up, he drove his two little boys to preschool and dropped them off, and then he drove over to the gym to work out. After finishing his workout, he returned.
So just a reminder, like this is true crime cringe. I hate that phrase, but it is. So trigger warning. I guess whenever we're talking, I mean, most of our content probably has a blanket trigger warning, right? Because we talk about difficult things, we cover difficult, confronting things. So same. She's going to go into the details of the shooting of Professor Dan Markel on July 19th, I think. God, I should know. 2014. So over a decade ago.
Returned home. He pulled in his driveway, opened his garage, but little did he know that throughout his just normal routine that morning, he was being followed. He was being followed by two hired hitmen who traveled all the way from.
You think? I'm entranced. I don't know about that. I think a trigger warning is important because some people might not necessarily appreciate that Sarah Dugan's about to detail a man being shot in the face by hitmen. I don't know. I don't think that's cringe, personally. But I'm sorry if you are personally offended by that.
From Miami to Tallahassee for the sole purpose of murdering him. And just like something out of a horror movie, he pulls into his driveway, and the car that, unknown to him, pulls in right behind him. Moments later, Dan Markel's neighbor heard a gunshot. He looked out the window and he saw a light-colored Toyota Prius backing quickly out of Dan Markel's driveway and then speeding away. The neighbor waited for a couple minutes to see if maybe Dan Markel came out of his house or backed out of his driveway too. And when nothing happened, this neighbor got that funny feeling that maybe something could be wrong here. So he walked over, and what he found was a gruesome scene. He walked in the garage and saw that the driver's side window of Dan Markel's car was shattered. He saw Dan Markel was still behind the wheel. He was alive, but he was moaning. He was unresponsive, and he was terribly injured. The neighbor then goes and calls 911. Law enforcement arrives, and they find Dan Markel unresponsive with
That's my two dogs. I have the big one that you can see up here, who's sort of brindle. That's Buster, and then Poppy, the little black enthusiastic panting one, is Poppy.
gunshot
Crazy
wounds to
loons.
his head. He was then taken to the hospital, where he survived for several hours before he was actually pronounced dead. Dan Markel was 41 years old, and his little boys that were deprived of their father that day were
Pausing possibly in an insensitive spot, but that's Charlie Adelson, the defendant. Spoiler alert, the jury found him guilty on both counts, conspiracy to commit murder and murder, in the first-degree murder, in less than 3.5 hours. I think it was a 2.5-week trial. We will go through, before Donna's trial, we'll go through lots of the witnesses. We've already done some trial prep. Sorry to interrupt the flow, but we have already done some trial prep for this when Donna's trial was originally scheduled for September-ish. Poppy, for goodness sake, you're extra panty today. There's a couple of playlists. Wait a second. Let me just, I won't interrupt Sarah anymore, but if you, Macrame Chameleon, I know that's not how you say it. Apparently, allegedly, I say it wrong, and it's funny. That's why what the fuck, Poppy, God. Hang on, let me just show you the playlist. Because so what the fuck was saying at the start of the stream was that she's actually gone in and binged. I have 2 playlists for Professor Dan Markel. Let me show this tab instead. So, playlists. Did I go there? I have many playlists, but so this one here, which is called Justice for Dan Markel, viewful playlist, has a plethora of, I can't play them because they have music, so they're copyright free when they're shorts. But so you can watch, they're great, if I do say so myself. My entire channel was built on these shorts. I got about 3,000 subscribers, 3.5, 4 almost, based purely on these shorts. That's why I'm called Miss Shorty, because I am a shorty who used to make shorts. So there's plenty of shorts there. I think it's 87. and a few from previous trials, as in the one that what the fuck was talking about, the Sigfredo Garcia and Katherine Magbanua. Sigfredo Garcia was the hitman. Katherine was the middleman, the sometimes girlfriend of Charlie Adelson, whose baby daddy is Sigfredo Garcia. And then, wait, how far down do we have to go? There's so many here. And then, I've put these ones here. So this is the trial prep we did. These are live streams. Some pre-trial motions hearing recaps from Donna's prior to her original trial that was called off at the 11th hour. Some Wendi testimony, Wendi Adelson, sister of Charlie Adelson, ex-wife of victim Professor Dan Markel. Some Charlie stuff, Luis Rivera, Jeffrey Lacasse, who was Wendy's ball guy boyfriend. And then there's a few more. So, and then there's also, wait. Then I'll go back by one. There's also, I've made a new playlist for not including all the shorts. If you don't want to watch the shorts, how dare you? That's assault. Where is it? There's so many. So here's our other new playlist, which is called Donna Adelson Trial Prep, which has got just Donna stuff and those episodes. So if you want to do a quick catch up here, if you want to go through and indulge yourself on the mastery, the shorts creation mastery that is Miss Shorty, lol, there in that other one. Boom. Let's go back to the opening statements. Thanks for your indulgence. Beg the chat's indulgence.
Dan Markel was 41 years old. And his
Life
little
artist.
boys that were deprived of their father that day were just 3 and 4 years old. Law enforcement immediately began to investigate to figure out who shot Dan Markel. And the evidence they find sets them down 2 separate paths. One path is that they had to track down that light-colored Prius that the neighbors saw fleeing from the crime scene and identify who was inside that Prius.
Pause. Okay, thank you, Princey. Princey says, when you watch a short, please give it a thumbs up. Even better, if you think of it, would be to drop a comment on any of my content after the fact. If you watch it, like a lot of a lot of shorties, like Steph is one who quite often will. It's about the YouTube algorithm, right? She'll just often drop a couple of hearts or a couple of, I don't know, big Netty energy emotes or something like that, and then I reply. So that helps get our content out into the YouTube algorithm. Basically, yes. Thank you. Comment on it, please. Thank you, Curious Law Tuber. It really helps that engagement and comment on other people's comments. If you see an interesting comment, a lot of my shorts have got many comments, the Adelson shorts. It really helps. So that's one of the ways we can manipulate or assist our standing in the algorithm of the channels. So more people. So YouTube goes, oh, people are commenting on this. There's conversation on this content. We'll suggest it. We'll push it out to other people. That's how the algorithm works. Enough. I'm going to stop interrupting Ms. Sarah Dugan, lady in waiting to Georgia Kappelman, Queen Georgia.
And the other path relates to Dan Markel's personal life. They look to see who, if anybody, in Dan Markel's personal life would hate Dan Markel enough to kill him. And after years of tireless investigation by law enforcement, both of these 2 paths led directly to this defendant.
Oh, wait. Not pause, but forgot to do something. Jeez Louise.
Let's talk about the path involving Dan Markel's personal life first. In looking at who might have a motive to kill Dan Markel, law enforcement learned that Markel was entangled in a very nasty divorce with his ex-wife, who is the defendant's sister. Her name is Wendi Adelson.
TikTok, Wendy.
A review of their divorce case file revealed that Wendi Adelson asked the court to allow her to move back to Miami, where she was from, with the kids, in order to be near her parents, whose names are Harvey and Donna Adelson, and her brother, the defendant. Dan Markel was adamantly opposed to his children being relocated to Miami. He was a law professor here in Tallahassee. This is where he lived. This is where his kids have been raised. He wanted his kids to live here with him. And for this custody dispute, the judge ended up ruling in Dan Markel's favor. So Wendi Adelson was not permitted to move to Miami with the children. Unless, of course, something happened to Dan Markel. A review of Wendi Adelson's emails revealed that her mother, Donna Adelson,
Horrible people,
hated Dan Markel and was desperate to find a way for Wendi and her children, who were Donna Adelson's grandchildren,
for goodness sake,
to be able to move to Miami. Donna Adelson suggests in these emails that y'all will hear about several ways that Wendi Adelson could threaten or bully Dan Markel into submission, into getting what she wanted him to do.
Steph, here's my thoughts on Wendi Adelson. So the state of Florida, state's prosecutor Georgia Kappelman, has methodically worked her way through the suspects, the members of the conspiracy, for I think Luis Rivera, who was the driver, the Latin king. He was already in federal prison. Poppy, for goodness sake, today you are so enthusiastic. He was in federal prison on RICO charges to do with his Latin kings. He was the head of the Latin kings. He used his involvement in. I think they had some inkling based on that Sun Pass and the footage that and the rental vehicle details that he and his friend Sigfredo Garcia were involved in this plot to kill Professor Markel, a successful plot to kill, like successful, you know what I mean? They killed him. So Poppy, honestly, I can't, man. I can't concentrate. Can you please not? I can't concentrate. So then he made a deal through a proffer, state's prosecution offer. Then they prosecuted Sigfredo Garcia and Katherine Magbanua. Mistrial for Katie. Sigfredo was found guilty and he's serving life without parole. Katie declined an offer for full immunity to give all her information on this plot, this conspiracy to commit murder of Professor Dan Markel. And she was in her second trial sentenced to life without parole, convicted also on all charges. Next up, they did eventually, and we might watch some of the footage today, depending on how we go for time, through an FBI bump. The feds did a bump to stimulate conversation between Donna and Charlie Adelson. They approached Donna in the street, and it stimulated some communications between the family, mostly just Charlie and Donna. So then they were able to, long story short, arrest Charlie, prosecute Charlie, excuse me, try Charlie, convict and sentence Charlie. Next up, they got Donna as she was trying to flee the country on a one-way ticket to Vietnam, non-extradition country. Shorty Tumbler. And so Wendi has derivative use immunity. She has testified in all of the trials, and she is under the misguided impression, even though she's an attorney, that she is immune from prosecution. And she's also that narcissistic entitlement and delusions of grandeur that she believes that she won't be prosecuted. I believe, and I'm happy to say, I will mark my words, that when Donna is found guilty, convicted, within very short order, they will arrest Wendi, because they will no longer need Wendi to testify at all these trials to basically assist the prosecution, because she's a fucking nightmare. So that's what I'm happy to die on that hill. I'm also happy, not happy to be wrong. She needs to go down. She was complicit in this, in my opinion. But that's why they've been super methodical throughout. It took them a fair few years to even get the lead on who the hitmen were. Once they did, it's been a methodical, slow and steady, the wheels of justice turn very slowly, prosecution journey. I don't think Harvey, the husband of Donna, will ever be prosecuted, unfortunately, even though I believe he knew. But
Donna Adelson even suggested offering Dan Markel a $1 million bribe to allow the relocation, and even said that this defendant, Charlie Adelson, would pay a third of that $1 million bribe to Dan Markel to make that happen. The evidence in this case will show that Donna Adelson's closest confidant was her son, the defendant. She and the defendant talked multiple times a day, every day. He was the person with whom she would constantly vent and complain to about Wendi's situation. The defendant was also the person that Donna Adelson relied on to solve her problems. And this was a big, big problem for Donna Adelson. And she made it the defendant's problem to solve.
I think they do.
So the divorce between Wendi Adelson and Dan Markel was final about a year before the actual murder. But that was not the end of that case. Litigation was ongoing, to say the least. Each side would continue to routinely file violations of the custody agreement, violations of the settlement agreement, and that continued right up until Dan Markel's death in July of 2014. This was a highly emotionally charged situation between them leading up to his death. However, there was no physical violence that Wendi Adelson needed to be rescued from or anything like that. But make no mistake, this was a very messy custody dispute. Shortly before the murder, in fact, Dan Markel, the victim, filed with the court and basically asked the court, he alleged that Donna Adelson was disparaging him to his children by saying bad things about him. And he asked the court to enter an order preventing Donna Adelson from having unsupervised contact with her grandchildren. This motion was still pending in court when Dan Markel was killed. The murder of Dan Markel ensured that an adverse ruling on his motion would never be a problem for the Adelsons. And just about 48 hours after the shooting, Wendi Adelson and the little boys relocated to Miami. Shortly thereafter, moved into a home within walking distance of the Adelsons' Miami home. Within a year of Dan Markel's murder, Wendi Adelson legally changed Dan Markel's son's last name.
So, Poke Shelley, this is why I think it's circumstantial evidence. And many cases have only circumstantial evidence, no direct evidence as such. Wendi was very careful. They used WhatsApp, all their communications, but they have WhatsApp. They've accessed the WhatsApp communications because they were able to seize Donna and Harvey's devices, and they had many when they were fleeing out of the country. But I believe this stuff that Sarah Dugan is referencing now about Wendi will be easily enough to convince a jury. You might be right in terms of bringing charges, but I guarantee you the state has far more on Wendi than they've made public, because they need Wendi to testify. They can't have her pleading the fifth to convict all the other members of the conspiracy. And so far, chef's kiss, it's worked. So I think I have faith.
From Markel to Adelson, and just like that, their father was just effectively erased from their lives.
Hi,
at 3
Nick.
and 4. And the Adelsons family, their
Good
big
to see you. Are you alive? You didn't
have been
die?
solved.
We're so happy.
You'll hear during this trial that the Adelsons are a very tight-knit family. The defendant and
Good
his
for them.
parents, Harvey and
I'm
Donna
happy.
Adelson, they actually
But I
even
just want
all
to make
worked
sure that
together,
I am
or worked together
still
at the
held
Adelson
in the highest
Institute,
esteem
which was
of
their
the
family's dental practice.
system. It's not a deal breaker, but I'd like to know. Thank you.
Hey, Joey, I think I might have accidentally deleted the short one, just the end. No, there it is. What am I talking about?
It's not a deal breaker, but I'd like to know. Thank you.
We're glad you're still safe up there in that cyclone area, Nick. Fun fact, cyclones are the same as hurricanes, just one goes one direction, clockwise or anti-clockwise, and the other goes the other direction, depending on where on the side of the equator you are. So, Nick, on the south of the equator, same, cyclone. Y'all, up in there in the northern hemisphere, hurricanes. Cool, huh? Science, bitch.
Practice. At the Adelson Institute, the defendant and Harvey Adelson were dentists, and Donna Adelson managed the office. After Dan Markel was killed on July 18, 2014, law enforcement interviewed Wendi Adelson. And Wendi Adelson acknowledged that her family had a motive to kill Dan Markel, or to want him dead. She admitted that her brother, the defendant, had even said that he looked into hiring a hitman to kill Dan Markel as a divorce present to her, but he decided to buy her a TV instead because it was cheaper. And coincidentally, or not, that TV that this defendant bought his sister as a divorce gift instead of hiring a hitman would be Wendi Adelson's alibi for the morning of the murder when the victim was killed by a hitman. So this path of looking into Dan Markel's life to see who would have a motive to want him dead leads law enforcement to the Adelsons, including this defendant, a man who told his family that he'd looked into hiring a hitman to kill Dan Markel. The defense asked yesterday in jury selection, who's talked trash or heard somebody talk trash about an in-law, which is not a rare concept. A lot of people don't like their in-laws. But the difference here is that the defendant's comment stopped being just a little bit of trash talk when Dan Markel was actually killed by a hitman. While the police are trying to investigate, who in Dan Markel's personal life may have a motive to kill him, they're simultaneously going down that second path I described to y'all, which was tracking down the vehicle that the neighbor saw fleeing the crime scene. When law enforcement retraced Dan Markel's steps the morning of the murder, they uncovered some chilling surveillance video of a Prius fitting the description of the one seen by the neighbor, following Dan Markel into the Premier Gym parking lot, waiting for an hour while he was inside, and then following him home from Premier Gym back to his neighborhood. They got these surveillance images from city buses, from Premier, from everywhere they possibly could. And these surveillance images, coupled with a massive amount of phone data and SunPass records gathered in this case, helped police to eventually track down the exact car used in this crime. But police still had to figure out who was in the Prius and why did they kill Dan Markel. As part of this really painstaking review that law enforcement did of all of these records, and when I say painstaking, finding this Prius and finding all of this evidence and all of these records was not an easy task, and it took longer than your average investigation. It was very difficult to do. They combed through tons of phone records and even did what's called a tower dump, which is where law enforcement collected a list of all of the cell phone numbers that communicated with the cell tower that serviced different spots in Tallahassee that Dan Markel was at that morning, including Premier Gym, when the suspect's Prius were there. Because they thought if the person in the Prius was using their phone at the time, then their number will be somewhere in this tower dump. They combed through all of that data, and they found a number with a Miami area code belonging to a man named
Good to see you.
Sigfredo Garcia.
Sorry, I was just scrolling through
Law
my shorts to
enforcement
find one.
examined all of Garcia's call logs and saw that he was in frequent contact with another number that was also present at Premier Gym that morning. And that number belonged to a man named Luis Rivera. Luis Rivera is a lifelong friend of Sigfredo Garcia and is also from Miami. Police then looked at all of Garcia and Rivera's phone records, which showed that their phones left Miami about 2 days before this murder, on July 16th of 2014. The phones came to Tallahassee, and on the day of the murder, July 18th, they followed Markel to Premier Gym. The phone data is consistent with both men turning off their phones just minutes before the murder and leaving their phones off until about an hour or so after the murder, when they're well on their way back towards Miami. And then a bank's ATM camera caught both Garcia and Rivera in that light-colored Prius once they arrived back in the Miami area when they stopped at an ATM. So, police figured out the identity, and this should appear on the screens in front of you. The identity of the two men responsible for following and killing Dan Markel. Luis Rivera, his nickname is Tato, and Sigfredo Garcia, his nickname is Tudo. But they continued to look for evidence of why two seemingly random men came all the way to Tallahassee to kill a man, Dan Markel, that they'd never met. What or who is the connection between these killers and the victim? Well, phone records reveal that one of Sigfredo Garcia's most frequent contacts was a woman named Katherine Magbanua. Her nickname is Katie. Garcia and Katherine Magbanua have a long history of an on-again, off-again relationship over the course of many years, and they actually share 2 kids in common. And lo and behold, when looking at the phone records, Katherine Magbanua is also one of the most frequent contacts of this defendant, Charlie Adelson. Law enforcement learned that at the time of Dan Markel's murder, this defendant was dating Katherine Magbanua. She was his girlfriend at the time. So Dan Markel was a problem that this defendant needed to solve for his family. The defendant was looking to hire a hitman to kill Dan Markel. Dan Markel ends up being killed by a hitman. And who ended up being the hitman? It was someone with a close relationship to this defendant's girlfriend. The hitman was the father of his girlfriend's children. So you can see how both leads in this case, followed by investigators, both of them charted paths to this defendant.
So she's talking about Charlie Adelson. Donna is unrecognizable these days. Here, let me show you something. So this here was Donna and Wendi in how she looked sort of in the I guess year or so before her arrest. This photo here at the top of the screen, oh, click on that. That there, the big one, that was when she was arrested. That's her mugshot. And that she was arrested in early mid-November 2023. And then, I mean, this was at her pre-trial motion stuff September last year. And then, yikes, this is what she looks like these days. And this was just the other day. Clearly the prison food and the inactivity doesn't do too well for Donna, with respect. No offense. Would be tough. But if you kill somebody or conspire to kill somebody, them's the breaks. Wait. Share this tab instead. God damn it. Sorry. Oh, we've lost audio, haven't we? She looking cute. No sound. Yes. I got that same thing that we got that last time. Hang on. I'll have to X out of it. And get
Shawty,
it back.
swing my way. Swing it over here, shawty.
There she is.
Well,
Donna. Let me just get that back. At least I don't have to panic on it anymore because we had that happen last time. I don't know why it does it. It's when I go to do a Google tab.
Free my boy Billy Tibbetts.
Mhm.
Shawty,
Pause,
swing
lady.
my way. Swing it over here, shawty.
Hang on. It's still I got a few tabs. I've got a few tabs. Okay. What's it called here? This state opening. Boom. Just like that. Everybody cross all your fingers and your toes. That it has sound this time.
To kill Dan Markel, but looking into the car, fleeing the scene, also led law enforcement
Do we have
to
sound?
the defendant through his
I
girlfriend.
have sound.
at
Do you
the
have sound?
time. So 2 different investigations arriving at the same conclusion.
Excellent. Solved it. Yay, us. Oh, Sarah Dugan, I like your Tumblr.
Law
Not as
enforcement
good as
also
mine.
tried to follow the money in this case. And that was a third
Cool,
way
huh?
that the evidence in this
Beautiful.
case
Metal.
points to this defendant. Law enforcement reviewed bank records, employment records, DHS-MV records of all of the suspects and saw that in the months after the homicide,
Yay, us.
Sigfredo Garcia, Luis Rivera, and Katherine Magbanua all acquired some big ticket items. Rivera and Garcia both bought motorcycles and cars. Katherine Magbanua got a breast augmentation surgery
Ooh, she
and
got
later
boobs.
received a black Lexus sedan whose previous owner was Harvey Adelson.
Wild.
Katherine Magbanua's bank records were analyzed, and there was no check ever written or matching cash withdrawal for the car or the breast augmentation, which was paid for in cash. Bank records also showed
The general word on the street with those boobs is that Charlie paid for half and that Katherine paid for the other half, Katie. But she would have used the money that she made for her role in the conspiracy to commit murder. So, but there's a whole exchange with Queen Georgia and Charlie Adelson when he's on the witness stand. Poppy, it's the bumping of my hand when I'm trying to do the mouse. Please don't. I can't do it when you put your paws there. Come around this side. Come around this side, Poppy. Then I can do it. I don't mind nearly as much on this side. Thank you.
rather.
Good girl. That's
That-
a good dog.
Katherine
That's a good dog.
Magbanua's account had a huge spike in cash deposits right around the time of the murder. She deposited
Thank you. It is.
more
I
money
can't
into her
cringe.
account
Bangs.
in the
Bangs.
5 weeks following the murder than in the entire previous year before the murder.
Don't lick me.
This was during a time when there was no record of her being employed
Poppy, I don't
anywhere.
like it.
Also, about 2 months after the murder, the defendant added Katherine Magbanua to the payroll at the Adelson Institute. And she began receiving regular checks from their business account every 2 weeks for 2 years
Oh,
after the murder. And this was despite the fact
yes.
that
Murder
she did
boobs.
not work
I love that
at the
idea.
Adelson Institute.
My friend is a
So the money was talking, but what were the suspects saying? That's what law enforcement wanted to know. So as they're examining the phone records in this case, they see a distinct pattern surrounding important events and dates in this case. The phone calls, and they can't see the content, they can't hear the content of these calls in these phone records, but they see that the calls are occurring. And the phone calls always went from Donna Adelson to the defendant, then from the defendant to Katherine Magbanua,
Charlie Adelson
then
being the
from
defendant.
Katherine
obviously.
Magbanua to Sigfredo Garcia, and back the other way. Kind of like train cars, they only touch the car right in front of them. You know, Donna Adelson never calls Katherine Magbanua or Sigfredo Garcia. Charlie Adelson never calls Sigfredo Garcia, or vice versa. So if this is a murder for hire, as law enforcement suspects, could it be that the defendant was wisely insulating himself from the actual shooters by having Katherine Magbanua act as a middleman between them? Law enforcement decided to launch an undercover investigation designed to clarify who the members of the conspiracy were and how information traveled within this conspiracy. So police applied for and received court authorization to listen in real time to the phone calls of the defendant and Katherine Magbanua. And this is what's known as a wiretap. By this point, the point that the law enforcement received authorization to do this wiretap, it was April of 2016. So it's been not quite, but almost 2 years since the murder of Dan Markel, which occurred in July of 2014. So by April of 2016, the defendant and Katherine Magbanua are no longer dating at that point. They've been broken up since the fall of 2014. Katherine Magbanua is actually back together with Sigfredo Garcia, the father of her children at that point. The defendant has moved on to
Colors, they used WhatsApp, which is just as good as Signal for encryption in terms of getting records from the provider, from WhatsApp. Unfortunately for Donna, and it didn't matter for Charlie, but he was convicted. But unfortunately for Donna, they got her all her devices. So WhatsApp, you can crack WhatsApp if you can get to the source on the actual device. But I do, for anybody who's in the know with Adelson stuff, and maybe not so much now, but oft make the joke that I use WhatsApp, but not for planning murders, just because international communications.
On to many other girlfriends since Katherine Magbanua. But the defendant and Katherine Magbanua are still in regular communication and have remained very close friends since the murder. And
pause. Hi, Pammy. Good to see you. Very excited about my interview or my chat for on Sunday night Eastern in the States. That's Monday. It'll be at 10 a.m. in Australia, Monday. Sunday night, 6 p.m. Eastern, with Pammy's glorious daughter, Whitney. Whitney's co-host, podcaster co-host for Navigating Advocacy, Melissa, and Eric Carter Landon, who you may recognize that name as being the older brother of murdered little tot Jacob Landon. They are co-founders of these three people, amazing humans, are co-founders of the Advocacy Con. The inaugural event is being held on between the 25th and the 28th of March this year in Indianapolis. So the three of them, I've listened to all their podcasts for many years. So excited, are coming on to talk about their work as advocates and advocacy for missing and endangered and murdered and vulnerable people in America, and to also talk about what's happening at the conference, Advocacy Con. So be there on Sunday night your time, 6 p.m. Eastern, Monday 10 a.m. Australia time, Melbourne time. So excited, can't wait, like so excited, really looking forward to it.
And Rivera, who was the second hitman in that Prius, he, in April of 2016, was actually in federal prison doing time on another charge unrelated to this murder. So all of the members of this conspiracy have presumably gone on with their lives, believing they've gotten away with this murder. So even though law enforcement has authority to listen to their calls now, what reason would these people have to still be discussing the murder at this point? So police needed to stage an event.
Colors, you can set WhatsApp to delete immediately, 24 hours or never, in any time. But, entitled narcissists who think they're above everything and they're untouchable don't think to do that, clearly, because all their message streams were all still there by all accounts. Donna and Harvey's and Charlie's and stuff. Wendy's, I dare say.
That would generate conversation between the
Wendy's
conspirators about the murder. And the plan was to send an undercover agent posing as somebody on behalf of Luis Rivera, who was incarcerated, to walk up to Donna Adelson on the street and try to extort money out of her. And law enforcement refers to this as the bump. So this undercover agent walks up to Donna Adelson one day as she's leaving the Adelson Institute during the day. The undercover agent hands Donna Adelson a piece of paper. And on the piece of paper is an article about the murder of Dan Markel with his picture on it and, FSU professor killed. Also on the piece of paper.
Would you like to watch the bump, chat? I've got it here. Let's watch it they caught it on camera, surveillance. Let me see. Oh, well, that's not what I was thinking it was. Wait, where's the sound? Here we go. It's a little bit Blair Witchy, but here we go.
Black shorts. What is it? Yeah. Okay, bud.
That's his body cam, the undercover agent, and that's Donna walking through Miami, her apartment block, opposite the kids' school.
Excuse me, Mrs. Adelson? How you doing? Just want to give you this. Listen. No, don't be scared. Listen, just want to let you know that we know that your family has been taking care of Katie and her friend Tuco for quite some time after your problem up north has been resolved. And I want to let you know that my brother, he's incarcerated. He helped your family with this problem you guys had up north. And we want to make sure that he's going through some rough times. And we want to make sure that you take care of what he's going through, the way you're taking care of Katie and Tuco. Well, this will explain it. Thank you.
She's rather slender then, right, Chat? So, yes, she is. Wait, let's press pause there. I don't think are they the rest of the so he's very clearly not a Latin king. He talks, he even says, "Excuse me, ma'am," or whatever he says. He didn't matter. He sucked. And when he says, "Don't be scared," he wasn't menacing at all. He should have said, "You should be fucking scared, Mrs. Adelson." Lol. So it worked, but it was kind of laughable. You'd think an undercover guy would be more rough and tough, right? Anyway, it worked. That's the bump.
Paper are a phone number and the amount of $5,000.
Right.
The undercover agent tells Donna Adelson that he knows that the Adelsons are taking care of Katie, and he's there to extort money out of her on Rivera's behalf in order to even things out. The undercover agent never says the defendant's name or anything about the defendant's involvement to Donna Adelson. Then law enforcement listens to see what will happen next.
Yes.
Will
that's
Donna
you,
Adelson
Lulubelle.
go straight to the police to report this extortion attempt, or will something else entirely happen?
Pause. That's a good point, Lulubelle. So we now at Camp Shorty are paying our mods for their time and their energy and their effort and their support and their beautiful, welcoming presence in our chats and offline as well. So all proceeds from all merch sold will be used to pay the mods. So if you do buy merch, which is why love you mods, says Lulubelle, if you do buy merch, it's not going to line my pockets at all. I'm not interested in money. I mean, it's a necessary evil, but it's not my jam. So there's super incentive there. Beyond having really cool merch, I'm still waiting on my clothes, but my mug, I have my coffee in I've got more mugs coming, but coffee in the morning in the bigger sized mug. It's nice and big, 15 ounces, fluid ounces. This is a metal with a metal straw, insulated tumbler. Beautiful. The printing is stunning. Thank you so much, Matilda, for all your work on the merch store and the website. So I'm not about getting rich or dying trying. Well, we're all going to die anyway, so I may as well say thank you to the mods by way of it's not a huge amount, but it's something. And I'd like to change the culture of the very, very me kind of griftiness of YouTube creators. It doesn't sit well with me, and so that's what we're doing. So that. And Pokemomo Shelley requested that instead of giving her a payment, that we donate to a charity on her behalf. So we've done that. And actually, while Pammy's here as well, we donated to, oh my goodness, Impact Advocacy, my brain. Is that what it's called, Joey? I can't remember now. Impact Advocacy, which was Whitney's, or the co-founders of Advocacy Conference, said that was the charity they would like to for us to send our money. So we made a donation of $250 US to Impacting Advocacy, and the link is in the show notes for that live stream. And I'm going to also make another donation from my own personal Buy Me a Coffee. So so thank you. Yes, Impact Advocacy. Yes. So they provide assistance to victims and their families, and Impact Advocacy Foundation. Thank you. There we go. So we're giving back to the community here at Camp Shorty. I just have no desire to roll around in the fruits of my labor and cash. It's so we're going to donate to charities, donate to give back to our mods, give back to the community. It's just, it makes you feel good, right? So yes. Press play. Damn it.
As suspected, based on the previously observed communication pattern, the first person that Donna Adelson calls after the bump is the defendant. Despite the fact that the undercover agent never mentioned the defendant to her.
So Pammy, I'm going to match that with another $250 from my Buy Me a Coffee payout. So Joey paid that donation out of our business account that I'm reimbursing from my Buy Me a Coffee when I get the payout, and making another 250 donations. So I mean, I've needed assistance from charitable groups. I'm also going to make another a donation to Shundwan, our friend Shundwan, who isn't here right now. She's probably still asleep because she was still awake after midnight in Australia. She does volunteer work for women experiencing domestic violence and needing shelter and food and that sort of thing. So I'm going to donate the balance of my Buy Me a Coffee to that organization when it comes through. So. I love giving. I'm not trying to big note myself. I'm just saying, when you give to me, it's not so that I can, like, I don't know, buy more shit. I do buy shit, but with my own money, not your money.
On that first call, one would think that Donna Adelson would say to her son, you know, it's so crazy. Some man came up to me and he's handed me this article about Danny's murder, and he's you know, seems like he's demanding money from us. She never says any of that. In fact, she never says Dan Markel's name at all. Instead, she tells the defendant that she needs to talk to him in person, not over the phone, about some paperwork that was hand-delivered to her. She said that this paperwork, she says this to the defendant, it involves the two of us.
Yikes.
And that he should know what she's talking about.
Look at him. He's got a little smug Jupiter's Delight smile on his face.
She should bring
motherfucker.
cash to their meeting. And she also says that this TV is about 5. Donna Adelson tells the defendant that the man who approached her mentioned an ex-girlfriend. Donna Adelson never says which ex-girlfriend she's referring to. She never says Katherine Magbanua or Katie's name to the defendant in that phone call. She only says that the blackmailer mentioned an ex-girlfriend.
Colors, she was talking about the letter that the terrifying, menacing Latin King guy gave her. But yes, the rest is very telling, very incriminating. Donna is fucked.
The defendant never asks his mom, whose ex-girlfriend? My ex-girlfriend? Which ex-girlfriend? He never asked that. Because as the evidence will show, he didn't need to. He knew that this TV is about 5 meant that she was being blackmailed about Danny's murder.
Pause. What the fuck? That's a hard day for you. I'm so sorry for your loss, and anniversaries make it very hard. Me personally, Monday for me is the anniversary. So when we were doing that live stream with Whitney and Melissa and Eric, Pammy's lovely daughter et al, will be the anniversary of my sister-in-law passing. So I'm so sorry, but I'm so glad, and I'm looking forward to spending the day with you all, a couple of hours with you all, because it does make things easier. And hearing good news like that makes my life brighter. Love you. What the fuck? Macrame Chameleon. Oh God.
For $5,000. And he knew that the ex-girlfriend in question was Katherine Magbanua. And we know that because after this call with his mother, who's the defendant? The defendant calls Katherine Magbanua.
Weird.
He doesn't call his most recent ex-girlfriend. He doesn't even call the most recent ex-girlfriend before the most recent ex-girlfriend, the one before that. No, he calls Katherine Magbanua. And his call to Katherine Magbanua is the only call that he makes to any ex-girlfriend.
God, this fringe, what a
after
mistake.
getting the information from
Killing
his
my
mother
life.
that the blackmailer mentioned an ex-girlfriend. And he had not dated Katherine Magbanua for 1.5 years at that point. And although the defendant threatens to do it often, neither he nor his mom ever report the matter to the police. The only people that he discusses it with in these calls is Donna Adelson and Katherine Magbanua. And you'll hear these phone calls between the conspirators. And as you listen to these calls, y'all will notice that they are being cautious about what they say over the phone. It's very apparent that they are very careful with their words because they are immediately suspicious that law enforcement could be listening to their conversations.
Oh, so distracting. Fucking hell.
So Donna Adelson calls the defendant, and the defendant's first call is to Katherine Magbanua. After that, the defendant then meets up with his mom in person, like his mom requested. And his mom gives him this paperwork that the undercover agent gave her. Then next, the defendant and Katherine Magbanua meet up in person. And they meet up at a restaurant in Miami called Dolce Vita. And while they sat at their table in this, Dolce Vita is a busy, noisy restaurant, an undercover FBI agent sat at a table nearby with a hidden camera in their bag and recorded this conversation. And in the recording, we hear the defendant discussing whether the man who walked up to his mom could be an undercover police officer or someone who's trying to blackmail them. And if it's the latter, if it's a blackmailer, is it somebody who's just trying to make a quick buck, or is it somebody who actually knows information from the inside? The defendant reassures Katherine Magbanua that if it is the police, that's a good thing. The defendant thinks that if it's the police, that means that they do not have enough evidence to charge anybody. In fact, the defendant tells her, if they had any evidence, we would have already gone to the airport. The defendant starts giving her some legal advice. He says that, hey, in order to prove that someone committed a crime, you have to be able to put the person at the scene of the crime at the time it was committed, which unfortunately for them is not an accurate statement of the law. It's important to note too, at the time of this conversation at Dolce Vita, no arrests had been made. The only thing that police had released to the public was a photo of the Prius that fled the scene. This was the Prius that Garcia and Rivera rented and used the day of Dan Markel's murder. So police knew at that point that it was Garcia and Rivera who were in the Prius, but the public did not know that yet, and no arrests had been made because they wanted to do this undercover investigation. And so the fact that this photo of this Prius had been released to the public is interesting in light of some of the things that y'all will hear the defendant say to Katherine Magbanua in the Dolce Vita recording. He starts giving Katherine Magbanua several analogies, all involving rental cars used to commit crimes. He reassures her that, hey, if DNA is found in a car, all that means is that at one point the person sat in the car. And if that car was later used in a crime, police can't prove that just from a person's DNA being in the car. The defendant points out to her that if a rental car is found that was at a crime scene, police also have to prove who was driving it at the time. He gives her a very relevant hypothetical of her renting a car in Miami and someone asking to borrow it and driving to Orlando to commit a robbery, and how she would be innocent in that hypothetical because
Charlie,
she wasn't in
what
the
an idiot.
car at the time of the robbery. So through these analogies, the defendant is reassuring Katherine Magbanua that even if police identify who rented the car that fled the scene, they still would not have enough evidence to hold anybody responsible for the murder, even if they did find out it was Garcia and Rivera. The defendant also says that crimes are tough to prove unless someone actually witnessed the suspect commit a crime.
Yes, Steph. On their first trip to Tallahassee from Miami, the hitman, Sigfredo Garcia, the actual shooter, and Luis Rivera was so coked up and and I think they were drinking as well, but definitely lots of coke. Luis Rivera was driving and Sigfredo was fucking around with the weapon that they had that they didn't shoot because they couldn't find Dan on that first trip to Tallahassee. He accidentally shot the weapon, Sigfredo did, and it shot through the fuel line. So then they pulled by the side of the road, and I mean, allegedly, Shodrick Nobles, who's such a character, he comes into chats. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes into our chats. I've got shorts with him. He is 10/10. He's fucking hilarious. He was there. I mean, he wasn't there plug, right? Maybe he was. He happened to apparently drive past and see them by the side of the road and gave, I think, Sigfredo a lift to whatever you guys call your auto repairs shop, you know, where you can buy parts. And they bought a new fuel line and went and replaced the fuel line and returned the vehicle. But they did then check the vehicle. The police checked that particular vehicle and found that it had a replaced fuel line and a hole in the floor. Yikes. It's yeah. But Shodrick Nobles is cool. He comes into chats often regarding this, and I have a few of shorts of him. He didn't testify in Charlie's trial, but he did testify in Katie and Sigfredo's trials, and he's awesome. He's so funny.
Or a suspect makes a confession.
No involvement in the murder,
or
just their dealer.
The suspect is caught on a wire talking about the crime. So the defendant's trying to reassure her about the lack of evidence. And hey, as long as we all stay quiet, then we don't have anything to worry about. At one point, the defendant asked her,
look at his face.
Let me ask you a question. And then
it's yuck because Charlie. He was just sitting there with a really gentle smile in his lips going, Jupiter's delight, man. He gets, by the end of the trial, he is so green around the gills. There's some testimonies, and even when he's on the stand, oh my God, he just goes from being this color, whatever that color is, to just being gray. He could see the writing on the wall, even though his attorney, Dan Rashbaum, told him that he got a 95. I don't know what out of 1 quadrillion as a score for his time on the stand.
Then he asked her about money. He says, when everybody was there the next day, did you take any money? Like, are any of you driving around in a Bentley? Or no, it's not like any of you are driving around in a Bentley or cruising around in a mega yacht. So here the defendant's pointing out that the money wasn't used to buy
my fringe
anything
back from now
flashy
on.
that would draw the attention of the police. And when discussing And you all will hear during the course of this trial why his statement or his question about the
Yes, Shelley, there is an older brother, Rob. Rob, well, the story with Rob, he's the white sheep of the family. He's the one good one, has no contact with them. Once he's actually in the podcast. What's it called? Over My Dead Body. There's a great podcast. Can't remember. It's the one time he's been interviewed. And it was pretty clear that when things started to go down and his behavior of his family, that he could tell that they had some involvement, a lot. He was already at one point estranged from Donna, Harvey, Wendi, and Charlie. Rob Adelson was, because of he fell in love with an Indian girl, like Indian from the country India, and then he was told in no uncertain terms that she was not an appropriate, suitable wife for a good Jewish boy. So Donna insisted that he marry a suitable Jewish woman, which the marriage didn't last very long at all, and he went back to his original true love, and they are now married. And they mended their relationship by all accounts for a little while before this murder. But once things started to get really hot for the rest of the Adelsons, Rob distanced himself. And I don't think there's ever been any statement from him publicly other than in that podcast. I'm pretty sure it's called Over My Dead Body. Very good.
The money from the next day is particularly important. The evidence will show that Katherine Magbanua went to the defendant's home the night of the murder, where he paid her in cash. And the next day, Katherine Magbanua paid Garcia and Rivera their cuts of the money. When discussing the possibility of whether this is actually some gangster trying to blackmail his family for money, the defendant says that whoever this person is, whoever it is, knows information. The defendant told Katherine Magbanua that there are two ways of dealing with this guy. They could call the police, but then the guy blackmailing them would be charged with trying to blackmail his family. And the blackmailer would start talking, and he would start calling out Katherine Magbanua's name. And then police are going to be asking questions about what happened. The other option is to pay the blackmailer, but let him know that this is a one-time thing, and try to scare the blackmailer off by saying, hey, if you come around again, we're going to the police. So the defendant then gives Katherine Magbanua very precise instructions. He wants her to call the blackmailer and tell him that, this would be what he wants Katherine Magbanua to say. My friends, meaning the Adelson family, have no idea what you're talking about. And I don't have any idea what you're talking about either. But the name of the person who you said is incarcerated sounds familiar. So I'm going to give you this money as charity to help the less fortunate. But don't contact these people again, or they're going to go to the police. And the defendant said he would give Katherine Magbanua the $5,000 to pay off the blackmailer, except he's concerned, though, that this won't resolve the issue for good. The defendant is worried that this guy is not going to go away, that he's going to keep coming back for more and more money. And the defendant offers a solution to have this blackmailer killed. And he says he's willing to pay whatever it takes. The defendant tells her that, this is the defendant talking to Katherine Magbanua, this guy, meaning the blackmailer, is effing with him and his wife. And you'd better kill him, or he's going to be a big problem because he knows who you are. And the defendant then says, if he can't handle this, I'll have somebody else do it. The defendant says, so help me God, if they fuck with my family, it's going to be Nazi shit, because this will be done. I mean, Katie, I don't care what I spend. It's important to note during this conversation and the entire wiretap, the defendant never says Sigfredo Garcia's name. But the evidence will show that the defendant was talking about Sigfredo Garcia when the defendant says that the blackmailer was effing with him and his wife. And if he can't do it, I'll find someone else who will. Because immediately after that, the defendant checks with Katherine Magbanua to make sure that Garcia has no hard feelings towards him, no reason not to help him. He says, hey, I have you on salary. You think he'd be happy about that? And he also says, I mean, our paths never crossed, meaning, hey, Garcia wasn't in the picture when he and Katherine Magbanua were together. There wasn't any overlap. After hearing that the defendant wants someone killed and is willing to pay whatever it takes to get it done, Katherine Magbanua then asked the defendant to help her out. And the defendant reassures her that she'll be taken care of by saying, he says, I don't have to. Sometimes his chairs can be a little wobbly. I know this is taking a bit, but I'm almost done. Thank y'all for being patient. All right, so she asked him to help her out. And the defendant reassures her that she'll be taken care of. He says he doesn't have to tell her the things that he'll do for her. He shows her what he'll do for her. She doesn't have.
He's being held in the Wakula Annex in Crawfordville in South Dakota. Yes.
To ask him for anything. He looks for things to do. He says, hey, when someone's birthday's coming up or there's car problems, she doesn't have to ask. He looks for ways to help. And after his meeting with Katherine Magbanua, the defendant immediately calls Donna Adelson to let her know that everything's fine. And he does this using some pretty obvious code words, which y'all will hear, and you'll hear the conspirators often use words to mask the meaning of.
Poke, I believe that because Charlie has now been sentenced, his attorneys will be appellate attorneys for any appeals. That's not Dan Rashbaum. Don't quote me on that, but there was still that conflict of interest because of the representation of Charlie, a co-conspirator in the murder for hire plot to kill Dan Markel with his mother, Donna Adelson. So that's why he was removed from all the attorneys for Donna were removed. She has a whole new team, which I don't know if they've got any real personality. We'll soon find out in June when it goes to trial.
Of what they're actually talking about. Katherine Magbanua then, also using these code words, tasked Garcia with calling the number on the paperwork and finding out if a blackmailer is a legitimate associate of Rivera or not. And in the series of recorded calls that follow, you guys are going to hear these conspirators talking and using words like TV, false leads, listings, properties, clients, rap songs, CDs, pot-bellied pigs, relationship advice, all these different terms that are normal terms any of us may use, but they're used in context in these calls that if you're listening to the conversation, do not make any sense. For example, in the calls, the defendant and Katherine Magbanua don't outright debate the pros and cons of whether they should pay this blackmailer. Instead, they talk about the fact that this property is cheap. They might expect a property like this to even be $1 million. This property seems like a great deal, but if you get the wrong tenant in there, the tenant may keep increasing the rent, and that tenant may become a leash that never leaves you. So it will be up to y'all to decide. Whether this defendant is actually worried about a future tenant of a property that might raise the rent and pay him more money, or if the defendant is actually worried that if he pays off the blackmailer, then the blackmailer may continue to come back again and again, or send a cousin or a friend to become a leech that never leaves him, that he can't get rid of. In another of these calls, the defendant tells Katherine Magbanua that whoever this person is, this blackmailer is, he's got a lot of effing details. And in another, they discuss the fact that this blackmailer is not from the inside. And the defendant says that this guy is probably not from the first layer, but the second layer. So not someone who got info from Garcia, but maybe somebody who got info from Rivera. But one fact, and let me just say, as the jury, you all will interpret and decide what they're really talking about in these calls. Only y'all can determine the meaning and the weight to give this evidence. And only you can separate just mere coincidences from evidence in a conspiracy. But one fact, though, is really clear throughout these calls, is that all of these conspirators are hopeful that this blackmailer is law enforcement just trying to get information, because they think if it's law enforcement and the police don't have enough to bring charges, just fishing for information versus the other possibility, which.
So when Charlie was arrested, he had he was just in his jocks, and he had some sort of assault rifle, I believe it was, positioned in his living room in his mansion in Miami. Ugly looking thing, but a big home, positioned out to the street through the front window, and he had barbed wire all around the perimeter of his property. He was mind fucked by the uncertainty of whether it was the Latin kings that were actually wanting information or whether it was the police. So wild. I don't think there's been any body cam footage released of that arrest. He was wearing just jocks. And apparently, so the cops went in and someone got him a hoodie and some pants, I guess, to wear. And he jokingly said, because he had this orange hoodie, which is what his mugshot is, which it's the picture of him in the emote, members only emote, that said unemployed on it. And he jokingly had said, apparently, that wouldn't it be funny if he was arrested, that he was wearing this hoodie, and the cop went into his room and pulled out a hoodie, the first thing, something for him to wear, and it was the unemployed hoodie. Too funny. The universe. Good work, universe.
Which would obviously be much worse for them.
And if you're not aware, the irony of that is that, Charlie was a very wealthy periodontist. Lol. Not sure about how good a job he did with people's teeth, because his girlfriend June Unchenda's teeth are horrendous. They're like massive, big, fake chompers. But yes, he had a Ferrari, Lamborghini, one of those with the number plate Maestro on it. So what a douchebag.
Adelsons are being blackmailed by somebody who actually knows inside information about their roles in Dan Markel's murder and may tell the police what they know. So after this undercover operation, which was in 2016, Luis Rivera, Sigfredo Garcia, and Katherine Magbanua are arrested. They're charged with the same charges before y'all on this trial. And Luis Rivera ended up cutting a deal with the state to tell law enforcement the truth about the murder of Dan Markel and the people responsible. Rivera told law enforcement that he was hired by Sigfredo Garcia to help kill Dan Markel. And Rivera described how Garcia told him that Katherine Magbanua, the mother of Garcia's children, secured this job for them. And the job was in Tallahassee, and it paid $100,000, with Rivera's being about a third of it, $35,000. Rivera explained that he and Garcia actually made 2 trips to Tallahassee with the intent of killing Dan Markel. The first one was a month before the murder. It was in June of 2014. And the second was when Dan Markel was actually killed in July of 2014. Rivera said that he bought a gun off the street for that second trip, and Garcia rented a car. For the June trip. Rivera bought a gun off the street, and Garcia rented the car for that trip. Garcia and Rivera did some scouting on that trip of Dan Markel's residence, some surveillance, but ultimately couldn't get the job done. They ended heading back to Miami. During the trip to Tallahassee, he said that Garcia had a piece of paper with a picture of the man that they were supposed to kill on it, and some handwritten notes as well. Cell phone records corroborated Rivera's information about the June trip. Rivera also told a story about an incident in Tallahassee where he and Garcia were riding down the road in the rented Prius, and Garcia accidentally discharged the murder weapon, and the bullet struck the floorboard of the Prius. Law enforcement tracked down that actual Prius again and were able to see evidence in the undercarriage that corroborated Rivera's information about the accidental discharge. So they're
Discharge
looking
is
at
a
the
bad
phone
word,
evidence,
just
trying
saying.
to find whatever they can to kind of corroborate what he's telling them. I mentioned earlier that both men, Garcia and Rivera, cut their phones off from the time that they left Premier and kept them off until well after the murder when they're on their way back home. Rivera said that the first call that either of them made after the homicide was from Garcia to Magbanua, where Garcia told her that the job was done. And Magbanua assured them that they would get their money the next day, which they did. Rivera says when Katherine Magbanua brought cash to him at his home. And all this information that Luis Rivera provided them was corroborated by, including when the money was dropped off, was corroborated by cell phone records in this case. Luis Rivera told police that the next day after the murder, he was paid in cash by Katherine Magbanua, and that the money was packaged in a very unusual way. The money was in stacks of $100 bills, and the money was stapled together.
He likes that.
The stacks of 100s, every $1,000 was stapled together.
Huh.
During this trial, y'all will hear that the defendant had access to a lot of cash, and nothing's wrong with that. He had a lot of cash because his family gives cash discounts at their dental practice, and he keeps the cash that he receives in a safe. Again, nothing wrong about that either. However, what is relevant in this case is that the defendant had a very unusual practice of keeping the cash in his safe in $1,000 stacks of $100 bills that were stapled together.
Chat, just pausing to take a little, very brief detour to say, how lovely is it to have decent court audio? It's a little tinny, very minorly tinny, but it's not in mono. It's not through a potato. Amen. Also, Amber is on her way. She's finished her first week back at work. She wanted to let you know she's coming, and stupid work, but she's on her way. So can't wait for Amber to get here.
Just like the money Luis Rivera received. Over the last few years,
Good to see
since the
you.
2016 arrests and interview of Luis Rivera, law enforcement has not stopped working on this case. There were trials in 2019 and 2022, so right before the pandemic and right after the pandemic, of co-conspirators. Law enforcement also continued to try to gather all the evidence that they possibly could. They continued to interview people who may possibly have any information about the case. They tried to clarify any audio recordings that couldn't be clearly heard. While the phone wiretaps are very clear, the wiretap conversations that took place in public places when these people were meeting in person were not clearly audible back in 2016.
I don't
Some
think
still
anyone
are.
has, Shelley.
But because
Yikes.
these public places are often too noisy. For instance, the recording of the conversation between the defendant and Katherine Magbanua at Dolce Vita had too much background noise to be able to clearly hear what the conspirators were talking about. However, since 2016, as technology developed over the years, and thanks to law enforcement's just continued dedication, law enforcement eventually found an expert that was formerly employed by the CIA with improved technology and enough expertise to clarify this recording at Dolce Vita that y'all will hear. And he did that by being able to reduce as much background noise as possible. And once this recording was clarified, which was actually just early last year in 2022,
I love
the
that.
state arrested this defendant. The presentation of this evidence, as y'all can see from opening, it's a lot. It's a lot of information. It's going to take a little bit of time, and it may be tedious at times. And I want to thank y'all in advance for the careful attention to all of the evidence y'all see and hear during this trial. When you'll see that this defendant carried out his plan to hire a hitman to kill Dan Markel. He conspired and he solicited Katherine Magbanua to get this murder done. And he paid her for the job once it was completed. This defendant acted in furtherance of this murder plot that went beyond just thinking about it or talking about it. And these acts make him guilty as a principal to first-degree murder, just as if he pulled the trigger himself. While the defendant's choices helped solve a problem within his family, they came at a very high price. He took the life of a loving father of 2 little boys, and he caused a lifetime of grief for Dan Markel's loved ones. Y'all heard a lot in jury selection about how important this trial is to the defendant, which I'm sure it is.
Probably.
But Dan Markel was loved. He was a brother. He was a son. And this trial is his family's opportunity to see justice done for the person who set up their son's murder. And at the conclusion of this evidence, y'all will be convinced beyond any reasonable doubt that this defendant is guilty. And at that point, we'll ask you for the only verdict that does justice in this case, which is a verdict that the defendant is guilty as charged. Thank y'all.
Bravo, Sarah. Thank you so much.
The long list of plans that you went over with Mr. Rathbone that you were.
Wow. So that's Sarah Dugan, Princess Sarah. Love 1010. Hey, Steph, you mentioned before about Charlie being a dentist, and I can't remember what you said. It reminded you of something. One of my favorite Adelson shorts that I made is a light moment. It features Georgia Kappelman, State's Prosecutor Georgia Kappelman, interacting with Charlie when he's on the stand. I'm going to risk playing it for a copyright strike. It won't get me stricken as in a bad strike. It'll just get me demonetized for the stream for AdSense. No biggie. Shall we play it? Share this tab instead. It's one of my favorites. It's not one of the highest rank number views, 14,000. Let me see.
All right. She even said to you on one of the calls regarding the bedtime routine that, quote, we have a whole routine going.
Oh, you can't see it. Fuck. God damn
I
it.
have a whole routine with my son. I mean, I think.
Hold on a
normal with
second.
kids, you have a
I can
routine
hear it.
with them.
God damn it. I changed the screen layout. Walk and talk chat. You know me. It's the fringe. I can't see shit for shit. Magic. Let's try that again, shall we? Hi, Moon Goddess. Good to see you. Here we go.
All right. She even said to you on one of the calls regarding the bedtime routine that, quote, we have a whole routine going. Do you remember that?
I have a whole routine with my son. I mean, I think it's normal with kids. You have a routine to put them to bed.
Right.
You
All
gotta
the
brush
kind
your
of
teeth.
things.
Can't forget to brush your teeth.
Yeah. Well, dental humor couldn't hurt, right? All right. She even said to you on one of the calls regarding the bedtime routine that, quote, we have a whole routine.
Pause. We'll watch it again in a second. But Moon Goddess, that's annoying. I mean, not annoying, but got your pants, the shirt, my shirt, the pants are too big, medium. Okay, I think I ordered a small in pants. We'll see. I'm not sure about the returns policy. We will see if we can talk offline about that somehow, Moon Goddess. Can you shoot me an email maybe? It's missshorty@gmail.com, or use the contact us form on the website, missshorty.com. Here, Let's play that again. Yes, little dental humor. Georgia is the best. Stan. There's actually a Facebook group which I am reticent to promote because it's run by Roberta Glass, but she's very good on Adelson stuff. It's just a shame about her stance on Karen Reed. But it's called the Georgia Kappelman Appreciation Society. Good, very good. Play again.
Routine going. You remember that?
I have a whole routine with my son. I mean, I think it's normal with kids. You have a routine to put them to bed.
Right.
You
All
gotta
the
brush
kind
your
of
teeth.
things.
Can't forget to brush your teeth.
All the yeah. Well, dental humor couldn't hurt, right?
So yes, Georgia has some great quips. That's one of my favorites because lol, love Georgia. Steph, Charlie with his biting sense of humor, just trying to ingratiate himself with the jury with his hilarity. Yes. She's got a very similar jawline, same lip sort of shape. Poor molar compass, Steph. That's a good one. So plenty of shorts if you want to have some fun watching them. Because obviously it's the murder of a beloved and very, very intelligent man. Unnecessary. Any murder is unnecessary. This one was particularly vile. Let me see. Let's see. Now, so I said the sound was much better, right? Rashi, also sidebar, Rashi's pants may well be too short. Rashi is very short. He's a little man. So Rashi doesn't spend as much time at the podium. So we'll see how we cope with this. Thank you so much for being here. It's I might speed it up a bit just because Rashi, he's a character. And we'll see how we go. But it's a little quiet at first.
Good morning. I didn't get to talk to you that much the last couple of days. My name is Dan Rashbaum, and with me is Kate Myers, and we represent Charlie Adelson.
To the podium, Dan.
Now let me start by saying the obvious. The murder of Professor Markel was a tragedy. The world lost a brilliant legal mind. His family lost a son and a brother. This community
Thank you, Joey, for sharing that.
lost its sense of security and lost a good citizen. And his two boys, the nephews of Charlie Adelson, lost a loving father. His senseless murder continues to be felt throughout this community and others. It was inexcusable, despicable, evil. But what I'm going to tell you today is what actually happened. You will see that Charlie Adelson had nothing to do with the murder of
Princey.
Professor Markel.
Pause. Yes. However, should I turn my microphone down? If I'm talking right now, and then let me press play. I don't want to boom you when I interject on Rashi. How's the difference? Should I turn my mic down? Let me know.
You will see that the state cannot come close to meeting its burden.
So tell me, chat, what's the difference like? Excuse my throat clearing. You know me. This might be loud, but let me clear my throat. Unless you tell me otherwise, I will leave my mic volume the same, but that's as loud as Rashi goes. He might come to the podium and we can adjust accordingly, but he wanders. Fucking Rashi. He likes to sniff his fingers too. I don't know why. I think he's a smoker. He does this all the time when he's sitting at the defense table. Yuck.
Why? Because Charlie Adelson is innocent.
Mm.
Now,
Okay,
I don't have
thank
to
you.
prove innocence.
Excellent.
What I'm
Thanks.
telling you,
Chat is Bay.
I very
Love ya.
rarely say in a courtroom as a defense lawyer. Charlie Adelson is innocent. And we'll get there. But the next thing I'm going to tell you, I also rarely say in a courtroom. And you may be surprised to hear this from a defense lawyer. I have great respect for the prosecutors and law enforcement on this case.
As you should. Idiot.
I have admiration for their efforts after the murder
What a
of Professor
douche.
Markel
What a douche.
in trying to find out who did it. You will see that they spent countless man hours, cell phone tower dumps, surveillance videos
I'm going to
from
speed him up a little
a
more.
boatload of places,
There's Georgia.
buses,
Gorgeous woman. Inside and out.
cameras
So
on the
smart.
street,
Queen Georgia.
great law enforcement activity. And it paid off.
She's like, ugh.
They got the 3 killers.
Best hair. So thick.
They convicted
Love.
them. Sigfredo Garcia, convicted for life. Luis Rivera, Katherine Magbanua, convicted for life. Problem is, as you just heard, the state saw no connection between these people and Professor Markel. So from the very outset, the state suspected the Adelsons, the family. You saw the chart. It wasn't limited to Charlie Adelson. Unindicted.
Wait, Colors, I'm going to push back on that. Do you remember Adam Lally's opening statements? Because what the fuck? What? Ow, wow. It was like, oh my God. I remember thinking, oh my God, this is the defense. I mean, so this is the Commonwealth Assistant District Attorney. This is this guy? This case? This guy? Opening like this? What? Rashi's is pretty bad. His closing arguments, oh my God, torture. Rashi and Lally's, both.
And co-conspirators in this case, the state has said it. Wendi Adelson, Donna Adelson, Harvey Adelson. The state knew, as you heard, that Wendi Adelson and Professor Markel had gone through a brutal divorce. And you're going to see it. But they couldn't find the connection.
Good point.
But then they had their aha moment. As you heard, they determined that at the time of the murder in 2014,
I think we all do.
Charlie Adelson was dating Katherine Magbanua. And they learned that Katherine Magbanua
I'm speeding him up more. Talk faster,
had a previous
Rashi.
relationship
Tedious
on again,
man.
off again with Sigfredo Garcia. They learned that Sigfredo Garcia and Katherine Magbanua shared 2 children together.
Blinkety blink, Charlie.
had
He
their
blinks a
connection.
lot. Wait.
The problem
Look at Charlie. Even since Sarah Dugan's opening statements, right? He's already looking tired. By the end, he looks like a corpse by the end of the trial. I mean, I was going to say I shouldn't laugh, but I am going to laugh because, like, it sucks to suck, Charlie Adelson. It sucks to be held accountable for taking someone's life.
is that's where the state began to guess, began to make assumptions. And you will see, we will show it, that those assumptions didn't
Glum.
exist. I love jigsaw puzzles.
Oh my God, puzzle
I
pieces.
love them since I'm young.
Oh, I forgot about this. Wow.
The reason why I love them,
Oh my God, chat. You'll be in. Actually, thank God we won't have to do this. I don't think his Donna's defense team will talk puzzle pieces, but Rashi with his puzzle pieces in the closing arguments, in the summations. Oh, he says it so many times. I think it was my most used emoji for a long time. Puzzle fucking pieces. Oh my God, Rashi.
is because they only work if every piece fits.
Yes.
No matter what you do
Or
with the jigsaw
curly.
puzzle, if a piece doesn't fit, it becomes a mess. You can't hammer it,
Thanks, Laura. It's pretty annoying,
And you
but
can't
it's
ignore it.
looks okay.
because if you ignore it,
I have regrets.
you have holes in the puzzle. What you're going to see is with regards to this case, that's exactly what the state tried to do. They heard things, they saw things, but there were problems. They couldn't fit all the pieces together under their theories.
Puzzle
Their
pieces.
theories that they told you about today. I'm going to show you
Theories?
how those puzzles, those pieces, they didn't fit. They don't fit. And why? Respectfully, the state does not know what happened on July 18, 2014. On that day, 2 crimes occurred.
2 finger sniffing fingers.
The first one, the state knows about, and that was the brutal, heinous murder
Joey.
of Professor Markel. The other one, they don't know about,
He wants to sniff his fingers even
They're
while
about
he's
to
doing
find
these
out
some
like you.
opening statements.
because that day would forever change Charlie Adelson's life.
There's the microphone.
But before we get there, I like cliffhangers.
Oh, he just said I like
It's important
cliffhangers.
to give you some background and timeline of the events.
Charlie's like, oh my God, what's he talking about? Sidebar. I believe this was Dan Rashbaum's first ever murder. Oh, dirty pause. Not sorry. I think it was his first ever murder trial. I believe he's a white collar attorney. So not violent crimes. Yeah, it kind of shows.
Charlie Adelson is 46
Except
years
they
old.
do fit, right? They all
Single
fit
with a young
perfectly.
son. He grew up in South Florida, in
Probate.
Coral Springs in Broward County. His father was
Let
a
me
dentist,
check that. I'm not sure.
a local dentist. It wasn't the Adelson Institute when Charlie was growing up.
Just find the
It
microphone.
was a small dental practice with his dad. Charlie is the middle child of 3. He is very close with his parents. As they said, he is very close with his mom. Growing up, the family was middle class. And Charlie was not particularly close with either of his siblings. He grew closer with Wendi.
Charlie desperately wanted to be not the black sheep middle child. I believe Wendy's the baby. Dan Rashbaum, it says here. White collar criminal defense, internal investigations, regulatory enforcement, and qui tam litigation. White collar issues in Florida. He also represents clients with securities litigation and civil litigation defense issues. So not a probate lawyer, but white collar crimes, not violent crimes. So make better choices, Charlie. And wild that the Adelsons thought that he should be the right man to represent, or the right attorney to represent Donna in her trial, in her case against the state, given that Charlie lost his trial with a resounding less than 3.5 hour verdict. So that.
As they got older, he went to college at the University of Central Florida, went to dental school in South Florida, and then periodontic school. When he graduated as a periodontist, he had an idea. Rather than work in his own practice, he figured that he could travel around to dental practices all over South Florida. He would be a traveling periodontist.
So Princey, the Adelsons, Harvey Adelson had the Adelson Institute. These are upper middle class. They have millions of dollars at their disposal. This is why Donna Adelson is a flight risk. Oh, by the way, Donna Adelson's bond was denied. She will not be spending her final weeks before trial, or a couple of months before trial, at home with a 7 to 7 curfew and an ankle monitor. Nope. Judge Randolph said, Everett. What? Judge Everett. Yes, Judge Everett said, no, denied.
So what you are going to learn in this case is that Charlie Adelson had practices from the very south.
Oh, I
of
wasn't
South
listening.
Florida.
He said that? Upper
As
middle
far
class,
places as
way upper.
He's in the car sometimes for hours in a day. And he worked a lot. You're going to see that. He was a workaholic.
I'm a peasant.
He spent a lot of time in that car.
Hi, Steve. Good to see you.
And what did he do when he was in the car to pass the time? He spoke a lot on the phone. He would talk to whoever would listen to him. And you're going to see in this case, this is one thing we won't deny. Charlie Adelson likes to talk.
Oh, fucking oath.
And he likes
More
to
than
repeat
me.
himself. And who would he speak with the most? He'd speak with his girlfriend. He'd speak with his mom. He'd speak with his friends. Now, Wendi Adelson, who's a state witness, followed a different path. She went to a prestigious university in Boston. She then went to school in England on a Truman Fellowship, and later went to law school.
She's a civil
She had
rights
scholarships
attorney.
for law school and college.
What does that matter? She still
Soon after
murdered her
starting law
husband.
school, she met Dan Markel, and they fell in love. They got married. They ultimately moved to Tallahassee, where they
So Donna selected Wendi, selected Dan for Wendi. They selected him together through, I think it's called Jed Match. No, that's the genealogy thing. What's that? It's a Jewish dating website like Tinder, but for Jewish people to find a partner with the same faith as them. What's it called? J-Date. Thank you. Jed Match. Thank you. Joey was quick with that information. So it was he ticked all the boxes for Donna, did Dan Markel. And Wendi, I think it was probably a loveless. Well, Danny loved Wendi very much. He was devastated when she left him with just a note on the bed while he was out of town for a conference or a business. He's a law professor, not business, a conference, I believe, or a teaching obligation. She left and took mostly all the boys' toys, Lincoln and fuck. Again, brain. Lincoln and chat will help me out. Yeah. Poor Danny. Just this vile family that he got entangled with and then lost his life. Well, his life was taken from him because of that fateful J-Date. Thank you, Joey. Jed Match.
where they both worked.
Same,
for
but
FSU.
different.
Professor
Lincoln
Markel is a law
and-
professor of the law school. Charlie Adelson didn't have much to do with either Professor Markel or Wendi during their marriage or before their marriage. He would talk to his sister periodically.
Benjamin,
maybe
thank you,
once
Steph.
Every 2 or 3 weeks.
Thank you, my brain.
They lived in Tallahassee for years.
You're so
Charlie
clever,
Adelson
Joey.
visited him
I'm
in
proud of you.
Tallahassee 2, maybe 3 times. Charlie loved it.
Pause again. Sorry. Did everyone notice Steph's profile picture here on YouTube, which happens to be a macrame chameleon? Yo. Chameleon. How do you say macrame? We're never going to get to the bottom of this. Isn't it macrame? Macrame. You want me to say macrame?
Loved his sister. He sought advice from her, as she did with him every once in a while. But they weren't super close. They were brother sister. The truth is that Charlie Adelson was a little self-centered.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was building his career. See, that traveling periodontist, in the beginning, it wasn't that successful. But by the time of this case, in the 2013-2014 time period, you're going to see that Charlie Adelson was making a lot of money. His practice was booming. He was working 6, sometimes 7 days a week. You'll see it on the wires. You'll see it in text messages.
Macrame.
He would start his day early in the morning.
Not in Australia.
And most days he wouldn't get home till
Brit
8, 9, 10
here.
at night.
Hi, Britt. How you going? You had a big
At the
week.
time when this murder occurred, he was not married.
Macrame. I will. Always.
He had no kids. He had a lot of money.
A lot of money.
And he was
think,
living a very good life.
Danny has a big heart on for Charlie. Sorry. He really does. So did what was his name? The attorney. What the fuck, you might remember. The attorney in, I believe, Katie and Vic, defense attorney. excuse me, there was Tara Kawas and another guy, and he frothed over Charlie. He went on and on at Wendi. I've got a short about it, about how good looking Charlie was, how he was so successful, how he works out of the gym, and how much money he's got. It was like, dude, settle the fuck down. He's also a murderer.
Now, in 2012, Wendi Adelson, on a trip down to South Florida,
I can't. 50 years of
confided
seeing
in her brother
Makame and Chameleon.
she was
Yours
having
can suck
problems in
my
her
dick.
marriage. She told Charlie
Fabby.
that
I
she and
often
Professor
type
Markel
Hoey.
had been going through marriage
Wait.
counseling.
Pause. Sorry, Danny.
She asked him-
Sorry, Dan. I'll continue with less interruptions in a moment. Pammy, the number of times when I'm texting Joey that I type Hoey and have the backspace out of it. So I feel you on that one. And Pammy, we have a typo emote in the members only emotes. So go for it, Hoey.
Asked him what he thought. He said, look, I want you to be happy, but you have to do what's best for you. I'm here to listen. Charlie had no involvement whatsoever in Wendy's decision.
Okay, I'm pausing
to
again.
divorce Professor-
Steve, here's the thing. We're watching the open statements. You did miss the prosecution, the state's opening statements, which should give you a good rundown. But there is a whole playlist. And Donna's trial, so Charlie's mother, Donna's trial is to begin in early June of Wadia, or Vordaire, as they say in Tennessee and stuff. Louisiana, Vordaire, but it's Wadia. So we're doing trial prep here, so you can come in and chat, but if you'll absorb just by osmosis the knowledge that when we go to trial, or when Donna goes to trial, and we're doing recaps and stuff, you'll know enough to follow, because it's the same murder, the same conspiracy to commit murder, and the same all the same charges. And Donna will also be sentenced to life without parole. Mark my words.
Professor Markel. You'll hear that. And in September of 2012, Wendi filed for divorce.
It's terrible, Colors. Yes.
And you're going to hear about how she filed for the divorce. And you're going to learn
Why,
that
Laura?
Charlie had no involvement
Have fun.
in her leaving the house. Had nothing to do with him. But
Judge Everett?
we got to talk about TVs. And you're going to hear a lot about TVs in this case. Excuse me.
I'm the supreme leader, Steve, just saying.
See, Charlie has a really bad history of telling bad jokes. So when Wendi left the house, his mom told him
Blink, 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 blink.
that she didn't have a TV. He asked her, he said, what can I do to help Wendi? She's moved to a new place. She's left most of the stuff behind. What can I do to help? His mom said, she doesn't have a TV. He said,
I believe so. Let me think, Shelley. I did watch all of those hearings with Emily D. Baker, and she's very good. And my brain's trying to remember. I think they were trying to get it suppressed. Because the jail calls. No, the call she had with Rashi. No, the jail calls with Charlie. Yes. With that Donna had with Charlie in that week between when he was sentenced and convicted and sentenced, and Donna fled the country. No, wait, yes, something like that. That's the rough timeline, I believe, because Dan Rashbaum is on. She was saying that Dan Rashbaum said to her, to the Adelsons, to Harvey and Donna, that they could try and leave, but they might not get out in time. So it's the jail, it's those calls, wiretaps, something. I'm not making much sense. Long story short, too long don't read, Shelley. I believe yes, because they have and there was motions to have those things kept out. I don't know if they've been decided on yet. Wow, I'm not making much sense. I don't know, Shelley. Fuck, I should have just said that, right?
he said, okay, when you go to Tallahassee,
Jesus.
go to Best Buy, buy a TV for Wendi, and I'll pay you for it.
Oh.
And so Wendi got the TV, and she called Charlie. This is back in 2012. the murders in 2014. And she thanked him for the TV. And he didn't say he looked into hiring a hitman. He joked, a bad joke. And he said it was cheaper than hiring a hitman. Now, not only was it a bad joke, but you're going to hear in this trial, Charlie repeated the joke. He repeated it a lot to a lot of people. You're going to hear that he repeated it as late as March of 2014. So the man that they think hired a hitman is joking to others about hiring a hitman.
Yeah.
Puzzle pieces. And you're going to learn why his repeating of that joke is going to be so important. I'm going to tell you in a little bit. Keep in the back of your mind. But let's first go back to the divorce. The divorce was bitter. It was emotional. Wendi Adelson and Professor Markel, they'd have good times. But when things were bad, they would fight about everything.
I'm not sure about pre-divorce, but after the divorce, absolutely, Dan Rashbaum. Princey says, Joey, why do I need a warranty? What happened to that television would not have been covered by a warranty. It comes out in Jeffrey Lacasse's testimony that it was very clearly damaged by way of a hammer or something, this TV that she called, what are they called? Geeks. What are they called? The Geek Squad. Boom. Brain remembers to come as her alibi. She called, actually Donna organized for the Geek Squad to come and look at this shattered television. Wendi claimed that television had been injured, damaged by one of her two children who were 2 and 3, or 3 and 4, or 2 and 4 at the time, and the damage to the television was far too high for those two little boys to have done it, and far too serious damage, like it was an adult had done this. So I don't think a warranty covers someone smashing a television with a hammer. And the Geek Squad guy, by all accounts, got there and was like, yeah, nah, this is a replacement thing.
And in January 2013, Wendi Adelson filed a motion to relocate to South Florida with her 2 boys.
Oh, I don't know movies.
That motion was opposed by Professor Markel.
It was a crap TV.
Now, what you're going to learn in this trial,
good old Geek Squad,
is that Wendi Adelson never thought that motion would be granted. Her lawyer told her that motion would never be granted.
Amber!
But she said, let's give it a shot.
Good to see you, darling. Yay. Amber's here,
Charlie,
everyone. Love you, Amber.
very little to do with the motion. He knew she was filing it. He knew she didn't have much chance of getting it. And the motion was denied. When it was denied, it didn't change Charlie Adelson's life one bit.
It was very severe damage, colors.
But unlike Charlie, his mom and dad were upset. They were upset because their daughter had a job opportunity in South Florida. She had no family support in Tallahassee. And they wanted her home.
Do you like my fringe?
And you will see.
I don't.
That Donna and Harvey Adelson are very involved in their children's lives. We won't run away from that. You will see that Donna Adelson and Harvey came up with a lot of crazy ideas. I mean, crazy ideas. You're going to see them. You've heard about some of them.
Donna, wait.
When they show you those crazy ideas, take a look if any of them.
There are these big, long diatribe, vitriolic emails that Donna sent to Wendi, instructing Wendi on what she needed to do. And she suggested that Wendi take the boys to Sunday school, Benjamin and Lincoln. Thank you, Stephanie, for the Benjamin. And take a photo of them outside the front of Sunday school or of church, because they're Jewish, right? So, but Christian Sunday school, and post it on her social media that he will see, to dress them up as little Nazis for Halloween and shit. Like, this woman is disgusting. Donna Adelson is a vile human. She's the worst of all of them. She's the driving force. But I absolutely believe that Wendi was complicit in this plan, this conspiracy.
Includes murder. Doesn't. Take a look at any of those crazy ideas. Include anything illegal. It doesn't.
Yep. Feed them bacon and cheeseburgers.
Take a look at if they're actually then go to lawyers to make sure that their ideas are legal. Murderers. You heard it. Unindicted co-conspirators going to lawyers to make sure that what they're offering is allowed. You're going to see that.
Donna froths over Dan. They think Dan Rashbaum did a marvelous job. Like, oh, he was so good. The jail calls, we'll do a show on the jail calls between Donna and Charlie in that week. She just raved, and they were like, oh my God, Charlie, you were so amazing. Dan was so amazing. It's quite disconcerting that his name is Dan and Dan Markel is also Dan. But yeah, they paid him $1 million. Donna paid him $1 million for his representation of her. That's in addition to whatever he made from representing Charlie. Like, this man has made a fuck ton of money from these people. I'm sure he doesn't mind at all that he doesn't have to go through the second trial. He doesn't care. He made bank.
But the ideas were crazy. You're going to read the emails, a lot of emotion. A mother-in-law, a grandmother with a lot of emotion. And you're going to see that Wendi Adelson, she rejected them. She rejected the ideas.
Colors, yes. At their wedding, at Dan and Wendy's wedding, they had kosher food because many of the guests, including the rabbi that was set to marry them, was kosher. So and that's a whole thing with Wendy saying, no, kosher style. There's no such thing as kosher style. It's kosher or non-kosher, right? They changed the menu at the last minute without informing or consulting Dan Markel to be non-kosher food. And so the rabbi who they flew in from, I want to say New York or somewhere, upstate, up country, and he was outraged, and Dan was mortified. The betrayal on their wedding day by this family, going against his beliefs and the guests of the wedding, including the rabbi, to change the menu to be non-kosher, and so the guests ate nothing who were kosher because there was nothing on the menu for them at the last minute without any informing to Dan. Just vile. They're vile people. They're not proper. They're not actually. They're not. They're Jewish in heritage only. The Adelsons, not in. But then also insisting on Rob Adelson marrying a Jewish girl, even though he was in love with another woman who wasn't Jewish. J-date or Jed match. J-date for Wendy and Dan. When it suits them, right? Kosher style Jews.
They were never presented to Dan Markel. And then you're going to see that there was another idea. They have mentioned it in their opening, but they don't understand the importance of it. See, at one point in time, Donna Adelson and Harvey Adelson came with an idea to pay Professor Markel $1 million to allow their daughter to relocate. And they went to Charlie, who frankly by this point in time had more money than them. And they said, will you lend your sister $350,000? She'll pay you back or we'll pay you back. And he said, sure.
Thank you, Britt. Yes.
And you're going to see
Ava's mom.
that they presented this idea
to
Wendi Adelson.
Mwah.
And the idea wasn't to take the boys out of Professor Markel's life. The idea was that with the $1 million, if Professor Markel agreed, he could live in South Florida and commute back and forth.
I cut them myself, Holly.
He could work out his schedule. He didn't teach every day of the week. He could work out his schedule so that he could still teach at the university and go back and forth. You're going to see that Wendi Adelson never made that offer. But it's very important. Like the joke.
I got you, Colors. We got you.
Let's fast forward to October 2013.
Britt, while I think of it, while you're here, Britt, you need to tell me what you would like. A mug? Because you remember you won the raffle. We've still got to draw the raffle. We might do it in the next live stream, which is coming up in 45 minutes with Chris Jewett. These are all the super chats, super stickers, gifted memberships, buy me a coffees from last weekend, ready to be in the draw for a t-shirt or a tumbler if you want. Bloody beautiful. But Britt, you need to tell me, and also Candy, but Candy isn't here, what you would like. Do you want a hologram sticker? You want a magnet? You want a mug? Let us know, gorgeous. That. So that. Play.
October 2013,
He's got a bit more
Charlie started
pizzazz.
dating
Oh,
Katherine Magbanua. We'll call
oh,
her Katie.
snap, Steve.
She was beautiful. She was
Wait,
smart.
this.
Like
thanks,
Charlie, she graduated from
Steve.
UCF.
You're going in the
She was
drawer,
hardworking.
Steve. Wait,
He
some
met
of
her
the
in
videos
one of the
going.
dental practices. At first, the relationship was casual. They wanted it that way. Charlie particularly liked it and liked Katie because she had 2 children. He worked a lot,
Thanks, Steve. You're on
His
the
priority was
next
his
week's
job.
list.
and Katie didn't bother him a lot. He only saw her like once, maybe twice a week. That's what he
Welcome new
liked.
members. What do we do? Hey,
was
shorties.
smart.
Fuck, so much to think
She
about.
was fun, and he
Who
treated
got
her
him?
very well. And that was very different.
Joe
to learn from how she was
Schmo.
treated previously.
Awesome. I love Joe Schmo.
Now, you'll hear that he
Chloe's
spent
mom.
a lot of time with
Cool.
Katie over the months that they dated.
Thank you so much, Steve.
And remember how I told you Charlie talks a lot?
A
He
mug.
repeats himself a lot?
Yes. Pick which one you
Well,
want and let me know.
When they were
darling.
together, he did just that.
I'll DM you.
He talked about his day. He talked about what was going on in the world. He talked about his family, which, by the way, was a constant topic every single day. Because when Charlie's driving in the car every morning for an hour to work and an hour home, sometimes longer, he talked to his mom on the phone. And when he talked to his mom on the phone,
Pause. Holly, lovely. Currently wearing the aqua ones, the Miss Shorty comfy pants. How's the sizing? Did you buy a size that you felt would be, excuse me, appropriate? And is it true to size? We're just trying to work out because Moon Goddess was here before and she said she bought the medium and they're a little bit big. So let us know. But yay, Holly. I can't wait for mine to arrive. Oh my God.
what would be a topic of heavy conversation quite frequently? Wendy's divorce. All the problems in the divorce. They told you that.
Tumblr's pretty cool.
They told you that in opening. And what would Charlie do? He would tell these things to his girlfriend.
And Pammy,
And
yes,
what were
I
some
love
of the
Chris
things he told
Stewart
her?
too. Where is it?
Well, he told her about the $1 million offer.
Here. Chris Stewart's awesome.
He told her that he could pay it in cash. She said, that's a lot of money. He said, no, I have it in cash. And I'm going to get it back. He told her several times the joke.
Yes, Pammy. There's so
Over
many cool
time,
things.
you're going to see through text messages that Katie wanted a deeper relationship. And you'll see that Charlie didn't want that. You'll also learn, and the timeline is important.
Okay, good.
They
So
meet
about
in
true to
September-
size.
They start dating
Do they have a drawstring
in
now?
October of 13. You're going to see that over time, it takes a couple months, Charlie starts to learn a little bit more about Katie's ex, Sigfredo Garcia.
Good idea, Steve.
And what you're going to learn is that Charlie Adelson never meets Sigfredo Garcia officially, but by all accounts, he was not a good guy. Violent, long criminal history. Sigfredo Garcia and Katie had been high school
Oh, I forgot to press send. Damn it.
boyfriend, girlfriend. And Katie was the love of Sigfredo's life. He lived for her. And you're going to see that Sigfredo Garcia hated Charlie Adelson. Puzzle pieces.
Facts. Oh, the fucking puzzle pieces.
So let me repeat it. You saw their chart.
Ah, okay, good.
The shooter of
Amazing.
Professor Markel. The man who murdered him. Hated Charlie Adelson. According to them, his co-conspirator. And you're going to hear, not from our witnesses, from their own witnesses, that he wanted to kill Charlie Adelson.
Whoa.
You're going to hear that in March of 2014,
Dan, whoa.
just 7 or 8 weeks before that first attempt of murder that they talk about,
Look at him.
he tried
It's
to
far
kill
more
him.
interesting. Wait. Oh. Amber, you're totally right. We despised Dan Rashbaum. He was torturous, right? At the time, I remember very clearly. I watched this trial with my friends Pammy and Shelley, Pokemon, Amber. Who else is in here? I don't think anyone else is in here right now. From that Missy Mayhem, on formerly known as the Shaming of Jay channel, and we could not stand Rashi. Ugh, tedious, so annoying. And then Lally came along. However, am I right in saying that Lally has been superseded by Hank Brennan, the slime ball. I can't stand him. He makes my blood boil. Like Lally, at least, is just like monotonous and tedious and drony. Hank Brennan is. Ugh.
Puzzle pieces.
Puzzle pieces.
You're also going to hear about a phone call on July 1, 2014. You're going to actually hear that July 1, 2014 call is how they found these guys. It's actually the craziest fact in this entire case, and there's a lot of crazy facts. You're going to hear that on July 1, 2014,
They are all shitheads, Amber. You're right.
Sigfredo
Brennan
Garcia
sucks.
made a call to the cell phone number of Harvey Adelson. It's the only call that helped investigators connect these folks to the Adelsons in the beginning. It actually broke the case. What they don't know, what you're going to see, it's in text messages. It's discussed on the wires. They don't know it because they don't understand it because they weren't there.
Bullshit.
Is that on July 1st, 2014,
He's very animated.
just 3 weeks or so after the first murder attempt.
It is on 1.35 though, so he's extra
And by the
animated,
way,
right?
Just 17 days before the murder.
Rashi says, by the way, a lot up there. It's his. By the way, is Dan Rashbaum's "What If Any."
Let me repeat that. The murder
Please.
happens on July 18, 2014. On July 1st, 2014, Sigfredo Garcia tries to run Charlie off the road.
Charlie had a jet
He
ski on the
threatens him.
back. threaten.
And what you're
Boom.
going to hear is that on July 1, he's so upset that he calls the Adelson Institute. He doesn't realize that Charlie isn't the doctor at the Adelson Institute. He just comes in and out of the place. So he gets their voicemail machine. You know how dentists
Which is interesting in itself that Charlie wasn't even good enough a periodontist to be working full time at his father's practice or the Adelson Institute. In fact, he was a traveling periodontist. I would go so far as to posit that, to opine that Charlie is such a torturous individual in terms of his personality that nobody wanted him the fuck there at their practice all the time. So he was a contract killer, contract periodontist, a traveling periodontist, if you will, making staples.
dentists are. They say in an emergency, call a cell phone number. They take your call at home on the cell phone number. What he hears in an emergency, call Dr. Adelson at such and such number.
So this trial, Holly, that we're watching now is trial prep for Donna Adelson, was in October, November of 2023. But the murder itself, yes, did happen in 2014. So Holly, if you want to, at some point, go back and watch the opening statements from the state, from second chair, Sarah Dugan, very helpful to understand the whole lie of the land for this case. The witnesses will be very similar in Donna Adelson's trial. Some of the evidence has come to light since Charlie's conviction and sentencing to life without parole, but same conspiracy to commit the same murder and the same murder. So different attorney though. Dan Rashbaum will not be representing Donna now. He was supposed to be, but he got thrown off the case. Judge Everett said, hard no, conflict of interest. Bye.
He thinks he's calling Charlie Adelson, but he calls Harvey Adelson. And he calls him and he threatens him.
Threaten. And he yelled at him in the
tells him,
microphone.
If you keep dating
Threaten.
Katie, we're going to go mano y mano.
Mano y
I'm
mano.
going to kill you.
Nazi shit.
17 days before, according to them, he conspired with this man to kill Professor Markel. Puzzle pieces.
Yes.
What you're going to learn is that in the spring of 2014, it became apparent to Katie that her dreams of financial security with Charlie were not going to work out.
Jump, color.
You will learn that Katie heard the hitman joke. You will learn that she heard the $1 million offer and she got some ideas in her head.
Colors, I hope the bubbies are feeling better now. You had a hard week with sick little ones. I hope they are better. Sounds like they might be feeling a bit better if you're having to play jump with them. You're such a good mom. Such a good mom.
The state itself has called Katherine Magbanua the mastermind. And that's exactly what she was.
Mm-mm.
So now let's get to July 18th. I kept you waiting long enough.
Yes, with puzzle pieces. By the way, little man.
The June attempt didn't happen because Rivera didn't want to kill Dan Markel when his boys were around. See, what you're going to learn is during that June attempt on June 4th, 5th, Professor Markel had custody of the boys. You're going to learn that Professor Markel and Wendi Adelson shared custody 50-50. But you're going to learn that the state thinks Wendi Adelson was involved with her brother
Yes,
in a murder for hire,
Yes, she was.
and she chose for the killers to kill her ex-husband when he had custody of her kids. Puzzle pieces. So you're going to learn that Luis Rivera, who is a bad guy,
Bad guy.
he had some conscience somewhere. He didn't want to do it in front of the kids. So they came back. By the way, on July 18th,
By the way,
who had custody of the kids when the murder actually happened? Professor Markel.
they're at preschool.
You're going to hear he dropped them off at school.
They went to the gym.
But this family who did this so that their grandchildren could be with them were going to risk for 2 hired hitmen to go up when he had custody of the kids.
Yeah, because Wendy's a piece of shit. Puzzle pieces. Facts. All the puzzle pieces. Not enough puzzle
July
pieces in
18th
the
for
world.
Charlie starts as a normal day. He works. You're going to see he lives in Fort Lauderdale. Now, I don't know how many of you are familiar with South Florida, so I'm going to give you a little bit of
I thought he lived in
geography.
Miami. My bad.
He lives in Fort Lauderdale. That day, he's working in 2 offices because he'd often work in 2 offices a day. He'd work in the morning at one place and the afternoon at another.
Because nobody
He's
wants
working
him
in
there.
2 offices.
Bye,
The
Charlie.
first office he's
How'd you
working
go?
in, both of them actually, are in Jupiter, Florida. Now, if you're familiar with South Florida, Fort Lauderdale and Jupiter are not close. With South Florida traffic, in the morning, he was in the car for at least 2 hours. Now, he came home late that night, you're going to hear.
Oh my
So
God,
traffic was a
Joey.
little bit better, but it's probably
Jesus,
still an hour
Joey.
to an hour and a half. Jupiter is north of Palm Beach. When I drive up here and I hit Jupiter, I know I'm about a third of the way here. That's a good way to look at it. If you live in Fort Lauderdale, when you hit Jupiter, you're 1/3 done.
And
He's in the car and he's talking on the phone. And you're going to see it. We're going to show you what the phone calls are about. He talks to his sister, talks to his mom, talks to his girlfriend. We'll talk to you about it.
he just talks and talks and
There-
talks.
There
and
are
talks
phone
and talks.
calls. You're going to see it. There are a lot of phone calls.
There are a lot.
And there are a lot
All
of
he
phone
does
calls
is
to
be
his
on the
girlfriend. And there are a lot of phone calls to his mom. We're not going to deny that. And he works in these 2 offices. And at around 6 o'clock, you'll see a text message that he's about to start a very long surgery, a big procedure. By the way, the text messages throughout
By
the
the
day
way.
are normal. Just after 7 p.m., he gets a call from his mom. And he's told that Professor Markel has been
I'm
shot.
speeding it up a little bit more. I'm mindful of
He's
the
shocked.
time.
He's
13
upset.
minutes.
His
We
first
should be
reaction
good.
is, Wendi and the boys okay. He's supposed to have dinner originally with a friend that night. But earlier in the day, that changes, and he's supposed to have dinner with Katie. And you're going to hear that Katie and him had gotten in a fight a couple days earlier about dinners. You'll hear it. And what you'll learn is after he finds out what happened, tells Katie he doesn't want to go to dinner. He leaves the office at around 8 o'clock in Jupiter. And you'll learn that Katie tells him she'll come to his house that night to comfort him. He shook up. Now, let me be clear. You're going to hear he wasn't close with Professor Markel. They weren't friends.
I didn't say it, but yes,
They had
correct.
nothing in common.
Hot mic in.
But he shook up because
Bond, no.
He
Hot
knew.
mic, yes.
the father of his nephews had been shot. When Katie arrived that night, and you're going to learn more details of how she gets there, what she has to do to get there. It's not planned. You're going to see that. The state's going to put on that evidence. You're going to learn that she's scrambling to get a babysitter. You're going to learn, by the way, that Charlie had seen her for lunch the day before.
Yeah,
So
plan
if
the
it's a murder for
murder.
hire, why didn't she get the money then?
because Charlie wanted
Puzzle
to
pieces.
get the job
gonna
done
learn
first.
That she gets there that night, sometime after 11.
Pause.
And when she gets there,
The Luis Rivera was very nervous about the fact that, well, for starters, that they were doing a hit on someone they could just do a robbery on, and actually not on Professor Markel, but on Charlie, the guy with the money stapled in the safe. But it made him. He testifies that he was not thrilled about the idea that they were doing this crime, committing this crime, this murder for hire, without any money in their hands, and that Katie Magbanua assured he and Sigfredo that that Charlie was good for it. So okay, Dan
she
Rushbaum.
is frantic. She's upset. And he's scared because he's never seen her this way. And she sits him down and she tells him something terrible has happened. She says that a friend of hers had shot Professor Markel. She tells him over and over that she had nothing to do with it. But these people, she was talking too much.
Pure
And
fabrication.
her friend and these people learn about the problems that his family was having with Professor Markel. They learned about the $1 million offer. And they got it in their minds to do this. As you can imagine, Charlie his life has just forever been altered.
Mhm.
He asks, who are these people? She won't tell him. It's not safe for you to know. Screaming at her, she won't tell him. Charlie had a guess. You will hear in detail what happened that night. You will learn that Charlie Adelson was told if he didn't pay within the next 48 hours, he or one of his family members would be next. You will learn that Katie repeatedly said that she had nothing to do with it and acted distraught. You will hear how she said that she would help him.
Because his arms are so short, Joey.
You will learn about the initial payment. It wasn't $100,000. It was more than $100,000.
136, 138.
He actually got everything he had in his safe. You're going to learn about that. The state doesn't know it. It was more money. But you're going to learn he didn't have $250,000. So he had to pay every month.
Blink, 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 blink.
They don't know about that either. Payments every month. Does that sound like a murder for hire? Or does that sound like extortion? You're going to hear about these gifts. And you're going to learn that the gifts were just that. They were gifts. Because as time went on, he became more and more certain that Katie was not involved. He became more and more certain that she was helping him. And he wanted to keep her happy too because he needed her. He needed her help. And you will hear that the payments changed a couple months after the night of the extortion. 2 crimes. You'll hear that the payments changed and that Katie was put on the books of the Adelson Institute. Paper trail. They created a paper trail.
Donna signed the checks.
Puzzles don't
Because
fit.
they're idiots, that's why.
Pieces of the puzzle don't fit.
Puzzle pieces.
And you'll hear that in order to
They
put
do, though.
her on the books,
They do.
despite Katie telling him the night of July 18th, you can never talk about this with anyone. You can never talk on the phone about this. You can never talk about it in public. You can never talk about it anywhere. Because if they find out, they will kill you and your family. If they think the police are coming to you to talk to you, they will kill you. Look at what they did to Professor Markel. But you will hear that
At your
he told
behest.
someone. He had to. He told his mom. You'll learn that she was the bookkeeper for the Dental Institute. You'll learn why he had to tell her. You'll learn about those checks. They've never been able to understand. Why are they so sequential? Why are they back and forth? You'll learn why. They talk about the bump in 2016. What I like to call is the second extortion. What they don't realize is that their undercover operation was an extortion on an extortion. They don't know it. It's not their fault. And we're going to go through the wires with you. We're going to go through Dolce Vita with you.
Joey.
And we're going to show you how they actually prove his innocence.
Stop wandering around, Rashid.
We're going to show you how they are talking carefully.
He's on 1.45, so he's extra animated. Lol. What is he on? 1.4. My apologies. I don't think Judge Everett is watching Streaming Shorty. he might have been streaming The Shaming of Jay, watching. He might have been Inception, watching Jay, watching us with them. But Judge Everett is very attentive. He's a very good judge. Stan, love 1010.
They're talking to him. He's talking about an extortion. They're happy if this bump is the police.
Hi, the trial channel. Good to see you.
Because
Thanks
if
for
it's the police,
joining.
None of them are going to get killed.
Thanks so much.
If it's a bad guy, they're in danger.
Actually, the trial channel, I believe we might have used one or two of your clips last week in our top 10, what was it? Lying McLiars from the Karen Reed trial. I believe, don't quote me, it was with credit. It was very handy. I think it was, I can't remember. So thank you for everything you do. And thank you for stopping by. Amazing. Love.
If you do a murder with someone, the last person in the world you want this bump to be is the police. Because it means they're onto you. Puzzle pieces. Not from the first layer, she says, but from the second layer. I got goosebumps when she said it. It's one of my favorite lines in the recording. Not from the first layer, the first extortion, but from the second layer. 20 months later is the bump. That's the second layer to Charlie Adelson at that point in
Oh
time.
my God, the mic technique. Yikes.
You will also see, and what's going to be weird about this case, ladies and gentlemen,
You sniffing
you're
your
going to
finger?
start to see it today. Much of their case, I agree about. They're going to put witnesses up there. I'm not going to ask them one question. Some of their evidence is exactly the truth. It just doesn't prove a murder.
Come back and see us
The
anytime.
staple money, it's his money. You will also see that Sigfredo Garcia was arrested on May 25, 2016. You will see that Luis Rivera was arrested on June 2nd, 2016. You will see that Katherine Magbanua was arrested on October 1, 2016. Guess who wasn't arrested?
Yet.
Charlie Adelson.
Yet.
He wasn't arrested for 6 more years. And what you're going to see is that they have the exact same evidence
Jeez, Louise.
in 2016
I mean,
against Charlie Adelson
got him
that
lally.
they do today. The same liars. They talk about an enhanced Dolce Vita recording. You're going to get both recordings. You determine if you can hear anything better.
you can, Rashi.
See, the state's case against Charlie Adelson is a case of assumptions. It's a case of guesses. It was not brought until weeks before Katie Magbanua's trial. You can ask yourself why.
Thanks you all for being here. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Life artist, yes.
I want to
And
thank you for your attention.
Shorty, thank you. Welcome, new Shorty.
I want to ask for your patience in this case. A man's life is in your hands.
I wish Trial Channel.
He's innocent.
Wait, that didn't age
Send him
well,
home.
Rashi.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh, Rashi, no, stop sharing. Oh my goodness, it's in my earballs. I wish, unfortunately, I also have a real world job, a peasant job that I work full time, and I'm with the time difference, I'm unfortunately restricted to recaps. So yes, life artist. Hi, says Pammy. Music, says Joey. Would you like a song, chat? We've still got another little bit of time before we need to finish up. God, this fringe. It's okay. Whatever. It's done now. Snip. Impulsive. As Britt said to me, ADHD much? Yes. What would you like? Holly, by the way, I have, or Joey has, loaded up, not for today, but for tomorrow night, both Free Karen Reed, Lexus Don't Have No Teeth, and Hey Massachusetts, What the Actual Fuck. The whole Charlie trial. I'm probably going to do, well, actually, Trial Channel, we've got a playlist pre Donna's original trial. We did a few witness testimony reviews. We did Luis Rivera, Jeffrey Lacasse, Wendi, some Charlie, and we are going to, so we are going to go through much of Charlie's trial, as trial prep, fringe music. So, yes. Okay, what do we got? Songs. What about? I'm picking. Here, enjoy. It's like 2.5 minutes. We'll come back and have a bit more of a chat and stuff. Enjoy. My lyrics, AI music through Suno. This.
The past is obdurate, refuses to change. Rear view mirror, out of range. Back then has teeth, it wants to bite. Unforgiven, chase you through the night. Time is a tree with many branches. Fate or fortune, maybe both. Human nature, golden, chosen. 50-50, brand new day. Lessons learned, fluid, organic. Manifest future, do not panic. Events a flimsy house of cards. Wash, rinse, repeat, or whole 9 yards. Time is a tree with many branches. Fate or fortune, maybe both. Human nature, golden, chosen. 50-50, brand new day. Best of the worst, no, it ain't good. Don't look back, not you can do. Won't last forever, good, bad, or ugly. Acknowledge this fact, and toxic becomes lovely. Time is a tree with many branches. Fate or fortune, maybe both. Human nature, golden, chosen. 50-50, brand new day. Dark valley of the present. Deep breath feels better, don't it? Nothing to lose, what you gonna do? Big wide eyes, future coming for you. Time is a tree with many branches. Fate or fortune, maybe both. Human nature, golden, chosen. 50-50, brand new day. Half centuries are meant for me. 5 times 10 and 1, 2, 3. Glass half full or overflowing. 50 radiates, it's glowing. 50. It's a good number, y'all.
Wow, we've got time to have a look at some of this new stuff. First look, a wine glass. It's like you know me so well, Matilda. Thank you so much. You're amazing. Just a reminder, every weekend on Camp Shorty, if you wait, that's not what I'm looking for. Oh, yes, we'll do it this way. Wait, share this screen. Wait, what am I doing here? Why? Hang on. Welcome, Brooke. Hi, welcome, Brooke. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Life Artist, for bringing in an IRL friend into Camp Shorty. I think you'll like it here. We do music, we do trial stuff, we do interviews. Coming up in about 15 minutes, we're going to interview with Chris Duett, amazing man who has spent decades speaking to convicted serial killers and murderers. He even spoke to Whitey Bulger when he was still alive and in custody. So Chris is amazing, but we have time. Why doesn't it want to show it? It hates me. Oh, I know why, because I have to do present screen first. Fuck. It's like I've never done this before. I'm a real professional, Brooke. You'll find this out. It's endearing and iconic. We're going to go this way. So you can go to missshorty.com and then go.
Well.
Thanks, Joey. Then you go up here. This is a cool website, but we time. Let's look. Shop. Go straight to the shop. Yes, let's share this tab instead. Yes. Oh my goodness. Can we see this? Making sure. Oh my goodness, Matilda. Where it is. The wine glass. These are AUD or are they US prices? Because Amber told me USD. So these are US dollars. That's gorgeous. Love. 1010. You're amazing. Thank you so much. Grave concerns. A grave concerns magnet. I like it. Very cool. 3 different sizes. Yes. Okay, what else we got? The tumblers are such good quality. I have this one. I think I got another one ordered. Maybe not. Very love. And this is grave concerns. What else? Grave concerns. These are the newest things. Oh, that's a different shaped mug. I like that one and this one. Oh, Matilda, you've been so busy. Let's have a look at some other stuff. So if you do any dollars to the channel, every weekend, it will go to you'll go in the draw to pick out a t-shirt every weekend. The following weekend, we've got to do that draw. And then once a month, you choose anything you want. And Holly she won last weekend. Holly chose a hoodie, a zip hoodie, a zip up, I think. And these are the ones, no, who's wearing the pants right now? Can't remember. Someone's wearing the pants right now. Holly. It's Holly. I love these tights. Oh my God. I want the long ones. Where are they? They're the pants. Are you wearing these ones, Holly? Let me come back to chat. They've got a drawstring on the inside. So Moon Goddess. Oh my God. I'm so bad at this. Ah, unisex. Joey's ordered some. I'm not putting you in. Oh, well, I will if you put some money in. No, it's how it goes. Yeah, you're already in. You're in, Holly. You're in. You can choose to get me to dip again if you win. How about that? Where are we? This. What else? Don't forget we got the Flexback range. There's a whole range of Joe Tacopina, Mr. Flexback stuff. So cool. Semi-compression tights, a tumbler, mug, ASAP Joe cap, shorts. He loves it. ASAP Rocky's defense attorney. Love. Matilda's got which shirt is it? The V-neck. Did I scroll past it already? Sorry, the Blair Witch of it all. Matilda has got this one. She says it's beautiful, soft quality, beautiful. Oh my God. Fuck, wait. Cool, huh? You're wearing the blue and blacks. Yes, the tumblers. They're really nice. It's metal straw. Beautiful quality. The printing's lovely. We're just starting to get them. It's a new thing. I will be back in store shopping very soon, says Steph. Amazing. Same. Yikes. I've spent 1,000 Australian dollars in my own merch store. So mods, I am even paying you directly with my own money. So all proceeds from the merch store, all profits go to paying the mods, our beautiful mod squad. I am really excited about that. Sorry, I'm being very Blair Witchy. Let's look at you US folk are coming into summer eventually. It's coming. Come at me, bro. Look, I love this design. These is next on my list. Shorty, the cherries. There's long sleeve tees with the badge. Miss Shorty 69. So cool. Let them. Camp Shorty. So much cool stuff. What do we got? Sorry, too fast. Scrolling past. Different colored fabrics. V-neck shirts, tanks, muscle tees, gym stringers. That's what she said. That one's coming for me. That's what she said. Again, lol. Amazing. Bucket hats. Joey likes the bucket hats. I mean, feel free to. The tumbler is metal. Both. Yep, metal. Beautiful quality. I've got red wine. Jokes, it's water. Can you see? Go back. Come at me, bro. Go back. Yes, will do. Some of them are more girly, feminine looking, some of the designs. Others are more unisex. Go back. Come at me, bro. Where? Sorry, fast scroll. There. Come at me, bro. Different color fabrics. I reckon it'd look good on black. Very sharp. That's a round neck. Lots of different sizes. I ordered some smalls and some mediums. We'll see how the boobs go in them. Is that enough for you, Holly? Matilda, you are so amazing. Cheryl, hi. You got your stuff today. Wow. How you like the sizing? There's a drawstring on the inside of the pants. I think, Cheryl, you got pants, right? Oh, the tumble looks so nice. It's very good quality. Very good quality. Beautiful. It's all lovely. And I think Matilda has rectified the sticker thing. There was a bit of a dodge print on my stickers. But yes. Hey, so far we've got Holly and Matilda. Holly says, don't put me on the list. Too bad. I didn't see that. Thanks, Matilda, for gifting. I didn't see it because I was too busy, and now I can't do it. Like, wait. Am I terrible writing? And Holly. And we'll draw last weekend's in the next live stream, which is coming up in 10 minutes. And on that note, I'd better skedaddle. We've got Chris Duet. I'm so excited. So wait, let me stop screen. And then this. And then this. I got to go and fix my fringe. Fuck. Will you be modeling the clothes? Me? Yes, I'll be wearing them every live stream. And here's a fun thing. Joey, am I allowed to tell them? Through the Karen Reid trial, which probably will go ahead, I probably will have to retract my statement that Bev has no option but to dismiss because, Bev. Joey and I are going to do a recap show together for you all. And Joey's got Camp Shorty stuff to wear as well on the live. So we're going to be in our merch doing stuff about stuff, Karen Reid stuff. Well done, Matilda. Yes, Britt, you're on the list. Britt. Thank you so much, Matilda. She doesn't want us to give her credit. Well, fuck that. I didn't do any of it. They're mostly my designs, but Matilda had to rework them all to make them high enough resolution. So that here, let me just do a blanket, a universal, I'll take any motherfucker's money if he's giving it away thing. Where is it? Yikes. So many. God damn. Here, this one.
I'll take any motherfucker's money if he giving it away. Shit.
Cha-ching. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, mods. Thank you, shorties. Thank you, Dan Rashbell. Yikes. Thank goodness we don't have to watch him, but I don't know whether the new attorneys have got any real spunk about them. I'm going to skedaddle. I've already said that. I'm going to go to the bathroom, get organized for an interview. We get to see Joey. Yes. Oh, my goodness, Joey. You better go on camera. Nope. Not me. He even got a ring light. You're so fancy, Joey. Next, you get a fringe. Can't wait. So we're going to have a little chats when trial starts. That. I love you all very much. Okay, I have ordered my coffee mug. Oh, there's a portal set up. Thank you so much, Amber. Beautiful, amazing. So buckle up, strap in. I'll see you in the next one. Let's talk murder and snacks and face tattoos and stuff. Exactly. No need to go anywhere. We'll portal together. Colors might have to take the train. I love you all very much. Shame about the fringe. Mwah. I'll see you in a minute. Love you, shorties. Bye.
I love you all so very much. We had a blast just chatting and stuff. Things may have gone bit off the rails. Professional when all else fails. 'Cause chat is babe, so much to say. Emotes and all the caps out. May We're skating through all the tough things, learning about this and that, defense motions, prosecution, and narcissistic twats. 'Cause chat is play, so much to say, emotes and all the all caps out. May have been cheese, bit faster please. The time has come, Camp Shorty out. Community, just you and me. Occasionally, Buster and Poppy. It's a whole thing, Miss Shorty swing. Together we make each other happy. 'Cause chat is